Hello viewers, this is Little Leap again. Still number one on the Arena Mythic ranked ladder, and as opposed to being a video that introduces the deck, the mass manipulation deck that I've been playing since this season began, I'm just making a video to show you sort of what my testing process is like. I have a Mythic Championship qualifier coming up on Saturday, and a Magic Arena Mythic Championship qualifier the week after that, and so I'm trying to figure out what the best version is of blue-green mass manipulation, assuming I still want to play it. I expect that I will. I still think the deck is extremely powerful, one of the best things, if not the best thing you can be doing in Standard, and I think that, excitingly, there are a lot of different lists of it that I've seen do well, which implies that there's probably some optimum that none of us have quite reached yet that's going to be even better. But I'm right now just trying to figure out what that optimal list is. So as you can see, things have been going pretty well since I posted that last video. So had a couple of losses last night, which is a little rough, but other than that, the deck's been performing really well. You can see a run of 8 straight there at one point. Just generally been winning a lot more than losing, which can be pretty hard to do at the top of the Mythic ladder, but generally against almost everything, the deck's been excellent. The red matchup is still a little rough, I would say, and it's generally, aggro decks are going to be the toughest for us, but against control and mid-range, I think we're just doing something that's bigger than any other deck in the format at the moment, including those fancy new Command the Dreadhorde decks, and so I've been just super happy with mass manipulation. I just want to show you all a couple of different builds tonight. Anyway, that's the recent match history. Let's jump right into Arena. Adjust this capture window to make sure we're kind of seeing the full game here. Sorry for the lack of editing in this. I'm really just, the only way I'm going to get these videos out is if they're of a slightly lower production value, but hey, let's get this thing rolling, shall we? So I guess I'll actually show you a couple of different versions of the deck I've been looking at. So as you can see, we've got a bunch of different ideas kind of sitting in here. The first one I'll show you is just the list that I'm probably going to start out by testing. So this is very similar to my original build of the deck, with a few changes that a lot of people have been telling me they think are correct who've been testing the deck, and I'm not going to just turn them down. I want to try them out. So probably the most controversial card I've seen so far is Tamiyo, Collector of Tales. This card is obviously really powerful. It sort of sits in the Chemist's Insight slot of being a relatively cheap way to draw cards and try to hit what you need. So this card is, again, obviously really powerful. Shutting off discard and sacrifice is good. Being able to sit there generating value turn after turn is good. What I've found in a few games played with Tamiyo so far is that she tends to be kind of rough in a lot of the aggro and mid-range matchups, just because it can be hard for us to defend her early. If the opponent's able to attack her for a turn or so, then unless she's finding exactly what we need right away, she is at best acting as maybe sort of like a bad diabolic tutor. She pluses, doesn't find much, gets hit, minuses, dies, and then we got whatever card we were able to shove into our graveyard. Obviously, late in the game, she's very good. She's better than Chemist's Insight at that point most of the time. But late in the game is normally not when this deck struggles. What we really need to do is kind of hit the specific combination of lands and spells we need to get to our first big play. That's sort of like there's a turning point in almost every game where you do something big enough that your opponent's suddenly on the back foot. Chemist's Insight is really good at that because Chemist's Insight can draw us both lands and spells. So almost whatever we need, Chemist's Insight by being a 2-for-1 and then being something we can just like cast it again the next turn, discarding something we don't need to find 2 more cards. It's sort of getting us that raw collection of resources. It's like you do need to draw Mass Manipulation and Hydroid Crisis in this deck, but you also need like 6 to 8 mana sources for these cards to really do what they're supposed to do. And because Tamiyo can't get lands, she's really only good at finding you the payoffs. The mana sort of has to take care of itself. But as a result of testing Tamiyo in this version of the deck, I've gone up to 13 ramp spells, so 4 Elves, 4 Druid, 3 Paradise, and 2 Growth Spiral, along with 26 lands. It's possible this should be 27, maybe cutting in Nissa or something like that, but for now, testing 26. And hopefully the extra lands will make it, or the extra mana sources will make it so that Tamiyo is more reliably able to go get payoff. In fact, I'm going to add another mana source to this deck. I'm actually going to test one of the other cards that's been a little controversial, Blast Zone. This one's been suggested by a lot of folks. Obviously, it's great if you have a bunch of mana to pump into it. It can be kind of cool with Nissa, being able to untap it to kill things a little bit ahead of schedule. On the other hand, there's this thing where I really don't want to play a lot of colorless lands with mana costs like the mana cost you see here, or the mana cost you see here. It can be a little rough if this is one of the early lands in your hand and you're really depending on hitting mana you need. But hopefully, if it's our 27th land, if the deck functions perfectly well with 26 colored sources, adding this extra land isn't going to hurt that much. The question, of course, is what to take out if we're doing this. Some options include Paradise Druid, maybe going down to 2 Tameo. Going down to 3 Nissa hurts, but it is one of those cards where if you draw 2 of them, the second one is often not especially high impact. And of course, Tameo can recycle Nissas out of the graveyard if we need them. So I'm actually going to go down to 3 Nissa. Might be a little bit loose, but hey, this is testing. At this point, we don't really care too much about preserving rank. We're trying to do well in these tournaments that are coming up. Okay, so that's the original version of the deck we're going to test. I think I'm going to try to move smoothly from game to game. So let me just show you like the one other version I anticipate playing in this video. So we'll actually, hold on, let me show you the sideboard first. So this is, we made some slight changes to the sideboard. So got the usual mix of counters here. I've added some Disdainful Stroke in addition to the negates, partly for cards like Nicol Bolas out of the red or out of Grixis decks, or especially Tristani. Tristani is a card that really scares me. I don't want to see that one. Shalai can also be kind of tough to deal with. So some of the bigger threats out of the Bant decks, I'm hoping Disdainful Stroke might be good against. It is a little awkward to have like these conditional counters when you're really a deck that just wants to ramp and respond to things. It's possible that we don't really want that many counters on the board, but again, it's just something I'm trying. My most recent attempt to handle the red matchup is Druid of the Cowl. So this was previously Ixali's Diviner, and I've tried a bunch of things in the slot, this kind of 2-drop to block them for a little bit, bridge the gap. I realized that Ixali's Diviner is either an 0-3 that gets you mana, or it's a 1-4 that doesn't get you much of anything. So it feels like a 1-3 that gets you mana is kind of nice, and yes, they can kill it with a Lightning Strike or a Wizard's Lightning, but it still blocks Viashino Pyromancer, it still blocks Lava Runner, it doesn't die to Shock, it doesn't die to Chain Whirler. I'm thinking that this might actually be like a good kind of bridge card for us to have access to in those red matchups, because you still want a lot of mana because you still win those games by casting big hybrid Crises, however you say that. So speaking of red, we've also got a Plane-Wide Celebration here. This is a Sam Black posted version of this deck on StarCityGames.com that really relied on ramping very, very hard, and then had a copy of Plane-Wide Celebration, which can be pretty good if you loop it with Tameo. You sacrifice Tameo using your loyalty abilities, you Plane-Wide Celebration her back out of the graveyard, and you sort of, that's like, can be a really powerful play. And then, of course, you can Tameo back the Plane-Wide Celebration. You can do this in either order, because Tameo doesn't just get permanence. I think it's maybe a little cute. It feels like at 7 mana, I'm going to see this not doing quite enough a lot of the time, but you do gain a lot of life, and you can get back multiple Krasis Planeswalker-type cards against control decks. I don't think this comes in against control, but it does do some things, and, you know, trying a copy, we'll see if it ever comes in. Other than that, the board contains a bunch of the same cards that we would usually be playing. So, on to the Bant version of the deck. So this is a suggestion from a Reddit user who I will try to remember to credit in the description. I don't have their name available right now, but the basic change here is you do make the mana a little bit worse in order to play some Teferi Time Raveler. This card is obviously pretty good. It deals with permanence early, which can be kind of a sore spot. It lets you do fun things like bounce Frilled Mystics and Hydroid Krasis, turns off the instant speed interaction that is kind of the best thing you can do against mass manipulation a lot of the time. So that's fun. But I think maybe an even bigger appeal of white is getting these sideboard cards. So Dovin's Veto, not a big upgrade over Negate. In fact, I'm tempted to just play Negates anyway, because it feels like a little rough that you can't hold up Vetoes as easily, and that you can't do like Nissa untap a land, like a Breeding Pool hold up Veto. That's often a pretty powerful play. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go down two Vetoes for 2 Negates. I feel like I would like my counter suite to be just a little more flexible at times. I don't know how often the encounter really is going to matter. This actually probably looks ridiculous. It's possible this should be just 4 of one thing or 4 of the other thing, but I'm an intuitive deck builder sometimes. We also have these Deputy Attention. These are great against token go wide decks, which can often be a struggle for us. Excellent against like White Weenie. Apparently you're supposed to board these out against red if you're playing Esper, but I think we might actually board them in just because they stall, they block, they like interact a little bit, they help to bridge that gap until we get to bigger spells. We got Knight of Autumn, again, solid against red, a good replacement for some of the extra Brontodons against Nexus. Good to have a mix of these things. We got Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves. So the original poster suggested Lyra in this spot as an obvious, just like, get out of here, red decks, get out of here, Gruul decks. Gruul is not a problem for this deck. This deck eats Gruul alive most of the time. So I prefer just having access to this Tolsimir card. It's a little bit easier to cast, and while Lyra doesn't die to 1 burn spell, Lyra does die to 2 burn spells, leaving behind no value at all. or like a Lava Coil and a Fanatical Firebrand. Well, Wholesome Mirror, if they don't have mana up, you can just cast it, get a good, quick, like 2-for-1, 3-for-1 immediately, gain some life, and hopefully stall out long enough to get to the big spells that are going to close out the game. Okay, so that's the Bant deck. I don't know if I've lost a match with this one yet. I haven't played it too much, and this deck doesn't lose, these mass manipulation decks don't lose many matches generally, but it has felt nice to have access to the Tefris, and I think this might be the best version, although of course it's a little pricier to buy and so on, so I do like that the blue-green version can be a little more budget for players who need that. But anyway, let's save that weird sideboard change and move on to some matches. So we're just noodling around here. Sorry for the long delay before the gameplay got started, but I'll try to let you know in the description when the games do start. Let's jump into the traditional ranked queue with some of this Tamiyo version. I like this arena tip. This arena tip is actually really applicable to this deck. You almost never want to keep hands that don't have a ramp spell in them. That's one of the reasons I like the idea that we get the kind of 13th ramp spell in the version we're playing now. Let's go with those 27 lands. While we're waiting a long time for a game here, I feel like the ranked queues are usually jumping at this time of night. There we go. Alrighty, up against Ordonez. I do not know who that is, but let's have a good match. This hand is very good. So you see a little bit of awkwardness in that it's hard to play quite enough forest to cast Llanowar Elves, untap as often as you'd like, but the card is still perfectly fine. The great thing about Llanowar Elves is it still works on turn 2 to accelerate your 4 drops, which is good. And it often just like slots in like later in the game when you just have like a spare mana lying around. It's like, hey, it's an extra land drop, sure, whatever. Sad thing, of course, we could have had a turn 3 Nissa if we'd had a forest in that hand, but I'm definitely not going to turn it down for that reason. So it looks like we're up against possibly Nexus, possibly the Mirror. I've been seeing a lot of more Mirror matches lately. Okay, this is almost certainly going to be Nexus. Yep, it's Nexus. All right, this is going to be interesting. So this version of the deck with Tamiyo might be a little stronger against Nexus, but generally we are a bit soft in game 1 to that deck. We just don't quite interact on the kind of axis you want to be interacting on. Turn 3 Nissa would maybe let us just bury them in combination with Hydroid Crisis, but we're not really in that position here, so let's just develop a bunch more mana. And then it's possible that next turn, if we get a forest, we could go like Nissa into a Crisis or something like that. But we'll see how the turns play out. Nexus decks are definitely one good reason to consider having some Frilled Mystics in your main deck. That's another card that's controversial sometimes. People saying that it's better just to like ramp and play big spells and only focus on that and not do anything else. Wow, really happy to see Callous Dismissal there instead of like Growth Spiral or something along those lines. A little less happy to see Blast Zone. Blast Zone can be pretty good against our Mana Dork-driven deck, but yeah, this draw has been excellent here, so we're just going to cast Nissa and then recast Incubation Druid very easily. I think for now I'm going to just do what I want to do here. So there's a question of whether we're going to start like attacking with Elves, just because this token is either going to trade with a mana producer or it's going to chump a 3/3, and I honestly like the idea of getting the damage in, so let's actually do that. Let's go. We're going to cast Nissa. Not going to attack the Paradise Druid yet, because they're going to lose this token, and I'd rather have the Paradise Druid to attack after. But I don't think the extra mana for Crisis is necessarily going to matter too much. I almost want to get the 3 damage in here instead. So let's plus up on an island. Doesn't really matter what land we do here. Oh, no, it does. I'm actually a fool. Okay. So change of plans. We're actually not going to attack with the Elf this turn. Instead, we're just going to attack with this island play Incubation Druid. Darn. Yeah, so I should have been untapping a forest there. Wasn't paying enough attention, so I could cast Incubation Druid and attack with Llanowar Elf. Not going to matter too much in the end. The real question is just going to be how fast is their clock, and do we draw a Frilled Mystic? Or maybe a key mass manipulation to get rid of Tamiyo or something. Okay, Narset. That's not so bad. Narset we can attack to death this turn, and then cast a giant Hydroid Crisis. Pretty happy that wasn't a Wilderness Reclamation. Ooh, he took Search for his content. I don't know they're going to have time to do that kind of thing. Ooh, Entrancing Melody actually is kind of sweet here. No blocking for you this turn, my friend. So this card normally has no targets, but thanks to Callous Dismissal, it does have a target, and we are definitely going to be doing some targeting here. Give me this 1/1, please. Thank you very much. It's almost like we played a Callous Dismissal. Took your 1/1 and got a 1/1. All right, so definitely gonna. So we could either tap the forest twice and use that to like cast a bigger Crisis, or we could just attack with an extra land this turn. I'm definitely in the like attack with an extra land this turn camp. There's some argument to maybe trying to adapt Incubation Druid too. How much mana do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe on top before us get to 7. So we could adapt the Druid here, which is interesting. But then we're not playing a big Hydroid Crisis, but we are attacking for a lot more damage. In fact, we have our opponent dead the next turn if we do that. So change plans. We're not actually going to Hydroid. We're not actually going to play a Hydroid Crisis this turn. We're just going to make a 3/5. I am in make a 3/5 territory here. So we attack for 3 less this turn, but then we have this great 3/5. We get to do this. Adapt. Watch out for that clock. Wait for game actions. Untap another island here. And let's just do some damage. We're just going to go clock Narset, clock the opponent, and now they have to have a Root Snare return for the rest of the game, which is not a bad spot for us to be in. And then we get to cast just an enormous Hydroid Crisis next turn, hoping to find like a Frilled Mystic, or honestly, it's pretty much just Frilled Mystic. There's not a lot else we have to interact with this deck game 1. Okay, Wilderness Reclamation. Presumably going to be dropping some Root Snares on us here. Oh, look at that, it's a Frilled Mystic. Well, now we win. Hard to tell what they could have to really beat us here. Let's be careful and make sure we're not tapping out too hard, but this should do the trick. Let's just make sure we don't accidentally tap all the Nissa lands when we cast Root Snare. We do want to kill them this turn. Oh, they could have 2 Root Snares, of course. 2 Root Snares, very much a possibility, but that would leave them a little low on cards, which is cool. Okay, so let's just go smashing in. Hold up both Frilled Mystic and hold up a big Hydroid Crisis in case they do have the second Root Snare, I guess. That will be a pretty small Hydroid Crisis if we're casting the Mystic, but whatever. Attacking for lethal, attacking for lethal. If they have Blink of an Eye, they play Blink of an Eye. Alright, we'll attack for, is this lethal through Blink of an Eye? If they blink, yeah, this is lethal through Blink of an Eye. So we'll just do that. And this might be a little loose, but honestly, if they have 2 Root Snares, much of what we're doing doesn't matter too much, okay? Let's drop this one on you then. You dead? They're dead, okay, well. Game 1 against Nexus is pretty tough. It looks like they had a little bit of an awkward draw there. They didn't come up as fast as they sometimes do. But next couple games are going to be really good. I have a good feeling here. Okay, so you bring in all the Steel spells. Yes, they might go on the creature plan, but honestly, you don't really care that much. Nissa and Hydroid Crisis are still better than their creatures. Bring in all counter spells. Bring in some tasty Vivian Reeds. Bring in some very tasty Crashing Brontodons. Now what do we drop? There's a question. So this feels like a matchup where we can afford to, so we definitely don't need as many lands now that we're down Mass Manipulations, playing more of a value game. I generally cut a couple of Crisis, maybe not all the Crisis, but a couple of Crisis. The card just isn't something you want to tap out for too often in like a big way. And between Tamio and Vivian Reed and Nissa, we're driving plenty of light card and board advantage. Definitely not a plane-wide Celebration matchup. That card doesn't seem like it does very much. And can probably afford to cut some mana sources. I'm just going to cut Growth Spiral. The mana creatures are great because they can actually attack, and we're not going to get our Planeswalkers attacked too much here. It is important to be fast, but because we have so many counters, these games too tend to get a little longer and grindier, and we want maybe a little bit less mana there. So, yep, I recently trimmed a 3rd Vivian from the board, which is a little sad, but hopefully 2 + 4 Thrashing Blown Islands, +5 counters, +4 Frilled Mystic, and some Tamios to recycle it all will let us do what we need to do here. Okay, this hand is, it's a little awkward, but we're still going to keep it. The fact we don't have a second blue for Frilled Mystic makes me a little sad, but having having a couple of great Planeswalkers, having lands, you know, it's fine. I'm hoping we draw a ramp spell, that would be great. Blast Zone, alright, so make that #1 count of Blast Zone looking a little awkward compared to like what a blue land would be able to do for us here. Certainly would be nice to have a blue source, especially as we're on our forests now. But that's the way it goes sometimes. It's a little bit of evidence. We won't overcorrect for it or anything. But am noting that I don't love it the way it looks here. I'm just going to cast a Growth Spiral. The question is, do we negate this? I think so. Obviously, if we negate this, we don't have a clean answer to Wilderness Reclamation. On the other hand, we're really not doing anything with our mana next turn either. Huh. It's close. I think that because we get to play Blast Zone and threaten to kill Search for Escanta, I'm okay letting this resolve. Yeah, they're getting some more resources down, and if they play a Biogenic Ooze or something next turn, I'm going to feel really sad. But I think their 4-mana plays are just too impactful. Okay, Hinterland Harbor's a great draw. Could have played Blast Zone. I'm definitely just going to play Hinterland Harbor here so I can cast Frilled Mystic next turn. And let's hope that their play is going to be along the lines of something that isn't Biogenic Ooze. I don't even know if they play Biogenic Ooze. Kefnet, ironically, is fine. We don't care about Kefnet with this hand. Saheeli, okay. Perfectly fine counter target there. Please do not be blocking me. I would prefer not to be blocked. Thank you. Okay, this is a reasonable start. Ooh, Thrashing Brontodon. Okay, so options here. Could hold up Frilled Mystic, but Thrashing Brontodon lets us kill off any of the important cards they would cast here anyway. So I think we're just doing that. It's just, with them having a Search for Escanta, we don't just want to be holding up mana to do nothing. By the way, that of course is one of the other reasons that Chemist's Insight could be better than Tami in the deck sometimes, is that being able to hold up a Frilled Mystic and a Chemist's Insight at the same time felt great. Like, we might feel perfectly comfortable doing that in this situation. Ooh, man, they got to 6 cards in the graveyard pretty fast. We're going to want to probably take out this Search for Escanta before it flips. So we could have tried to like kill the Search there and then cast a Vivien this turn, but I definitely prefer being able to... Okay, I still want to hold up Frilled Mystic, so the question is, I'm just going to play another colored source this turn. Alright, so here I'm just going to make sure we kill Search for Escanta with Thrashing Brontodon. After hitting them, of course. And we're just going to do it now so they don't get any card selection. We could kill in response to the Scribe. There's no reason to do that. So Search for Escanta down. And now, by the way, if they cast Chemist's Insight, we're going to counter it. And if they do it, I'll explain why we're going to do that. But let's see if they do it first. Okay, no Chemist's Insight, sure. So they obviously know we're holding up Frilled Mystic, but at this point, that's fine. They have no pressure. They don't have anything that's like drawing them cards. They don't have Escanta ticking up. So this is where the deck really starts to kind of kick into gear, because now we get to start doing plays like this. Blast Zone, Llanowar Elves. So now we're holding up Frilled Mystic, holding up the ability to use Blast Zone, and we're hitting more land drops than they are because our deck has, Afterboard has, what, 38 mana sources in it? Something like that. So neither of us is really doing that much, but we get to just have kind of develop in ways that they aren't able to as easily develop because they don't have quite as much extra mana lying around. And if they Blast Zone this Llanowar Elves, I am super happy. Nope, they're just going to charge to 2, which is interesting. Charging to 2 counters doesn't hit anything that I have. Could counter Incubation Druid or whatever, but I don't care too much about that. So at this point, we would love to resolve a Planeswalker at some point. We're basically going to hopefully use this Blast Zone to sort of pressure them into having to do something. We're going to keep hitting land drops. Eventually, we'll have Vivien with Frilled Mystic backup, which is great. Wilderness Reclamation. Okay, yep, I will counter that. Goodbye, Wilderness Reclamation. Frilled Mystic, just adding 3 power to the board here is fantastic. And yeah, against a lot of these control decks, you're just able to apply just more and more land drops than they can get, which forces them to try and do something, because otherwise you're going to just out-mana them in the long run, and then you Frilled Mystic. Woohoo. And that's a negate? Okay. Well, that's probably curtains for our opponent. I think I'm just going to drop Nissa instead of Vivien, because it makes a clock and makes it trivially easy to cast Vivien next turn. Wait, can we cast both Nissa and Vivien? Oh my god, I think we can. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cast Nissa, have this mana untapped. Man, we can cast Nissa and Vivien, but we can't leave up Negate if we do that, I think is the story here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 untapped, play Vivien. The question is, can we die if we do both of those plays? Yeah, they could go like Reclamation into stuff. I just want to hold up Negate this turn. It's a little lazy, but whatever. I think we're in a pretty commanding position anyway. So we'll untap a Forest here, which makes it so we can add a counter to Blast Zone and still cast Negate if we want to. And as a result of making that play, I'm not going to attack with Llanowar Elves here. It doesn't really change the... Actually, it actually does change the clock not to attack with Llanowar Elves, because that lets them go to 11. Yeah, alright, so we're attacking with Llanowar Elves because that puts them down the next turn. We're still holding up Negate. They would have to have an incredible hand to beat us from here. And they cast some ops and stuff, so they might have that kind of hand. So they would need, like, Reclamation into counter backup plus a Nexus of Fate to get started. And I feel like they probably do have a Signature Sabotage in there, but we're going to see if they can actually... Nope. Okay. That was pretty good. Are you dead? They don't even have Root Snare mana. They're dead. All right. Nexus. Everybody. The deck that people... That's one of the decks that people often point to is like, how do you beat Nexus of Fate? It's like, well... somebody talking about the deck online once used the phrase Counterspell Tribal. The answer is that after sideboarding, we turn into Counterspell Tribal, which is a really nice place to be. Okay, so we got that Pilfering Imp. We just pilfered that victory. And yeah, let's run this deck through at least one more match here. That felt really clean. I liked that. And then maybe we'll go to Bant. Of course, the Bant version dumpsters Nexus even harder with all those Tefris, which is delicious. Yeah, it's possible the Bant version is better in every matchup. The kind of... While it's clearly better in some matchups like Nexus and a little better dealing with aggro decks maybe, I think the losses you get aren't so much that like Teferi is worse than the cards it's replacing in that everything is just a little less consistent. You get to play like slightly fewer 4-ofs. Your mana is a little bit worse. It's just like a little harder to find what you need. You take a little bit more damage. It's like you lose out a little bit in a bunch of resources, but you do get some powerful payoffs. This hand looks good to me. So a little top heavy. It would be great if we had a third land, but we do play 27 at the moment. So hopefully we're going to get there. And just having a bunch of mana into counters plus threats is where you want to be. All right. So one nice thing about this hand is it's basically Thought Erasure proof. They can take whatever they want, and it's not going to matter too much. Ooh, this isn't a Thought Erasure deck, and ooh, that's an island. That seems really good. The question is, do I hold up Frilled Mystic, or do I cast a Krasis for 2? We have 2 Hydroid Krasis. Krasis for 2 draws a card and makes it easier for us to hit a Nissa next turn. Our opponent, I don't know what they're playing. It seems like they're unlikely to tap out for anything too scary on turn 3. So it's not like losing the Frilled Mystic loses us too much here. And then if we don't play anything, having Frilled Mystic as a 3-2 isn't too appealing. So here we're going to make one of our alternative plays and just play this Krasis for 2. So this is another reason that Frilled Mystic isn't as bad as people think. It's like, yeah, it sucks when you like can't threaten Frilled Mystic plus Chemistry's Insight. But if you don't want to threaten Frilled Mystic at any point, you can just play a Hydroid Krasis for 2. That's a perfectly reasonable 4-drop, because if you play it on 3 mana, Hydroid Krasis is just Rogue Refiner. There was a card called Rogue Refiner back in the day that was actually banned in Standard, and all it was a 3-2 for 1 green-blue that drew your card when it entered the battlefield. Hydroid Krasis is just that in this deck. I mean, yes, it made energy and stuff, did other stuff, but whatever. So now we're just going to play Nissa. If they have a D-Spark, so be it. Nissa puts on just enormous amounts of pressure if they don't have a D-Spark. And worst case scenario, okay, so they had one immediately. So it's possible to think about D-Spark, maybe we shouldn't have animated the Breeding Pool, but I think because the Breeding Pool would have cast Incubation Druid, it was still worth giving it a shot. So here the question is, are they going to have Kaya's Wrath? If they have Kaya's Wrath, we're back to being somewhat on the back foot. I don't know if there are decks that run D-Spark and Kaya's Wrath, and our opponent apparently missed their 4th land drop, or they just didn't want to play Magic anymore. So yep, we just made some good early plays, ran them down. So hard to tell, this could have been an Esper mid-range deck that was missing its colors. That's a thing Esper decks do sometimes, I've heard. All we saw was D-Spark. Yeah, I'm kind of puzzled. I think there's a good chance this deck is a little more controlling, which makes me want to cut at least one of the melodies. Yeah, these situations where you don't know what you're playing against are always a little rough. I think just to be safe, I'm going to try going down like all but one of the melodies, and I'm just going to bring in a couple of Vivian, because Vivian is just a generically good card that lets you generate resources over time, which is what you want to do in these control matchups. We could try like some negates or something like that too. Okay, so we're on the draw. What's the option to cut a land on the draw? Yeah, why don't we do that? Because I like the idea of having like an extra counter spell in here. Again, you can kind of tell I'm making this up as I go along, but let's just try this list. Tameo is definitely awkward against D-Spark, by the way, so it's possible you could cut some Tameos, but if they are a control deck, Tameo is going to be good. Plus, we're sort of playing these games partly to see how Tameo feels. All right, well, this is a clean mulligan, if I've ever seen one. Can't play anything until turn 4. No thank you. This is harder, because I don't want to mold a 5. We have a Frilled Mystic, and we have a Scry, which is going to help me find hopefully one of the 13 ramp spells in the deck, so I'm going to keep this one. Hopefully one of the next 3 cards in our deck is a... Alright, Entrancing Melody can't keep you not knowing what the heck the opponent's doing. This is where they go, okay, so they are just an Esper mid-range deck, la-di-da, whatever. Well, this is nice. A lot of people on Reddit have been asking how in the world you beat Esper decks with this. And I will say it's not easy. When you don't know that you're playing against an Esper deck, I would have definitely liked to keep that Entrancing Melody. Well, maybe not, but you know, we would have had more Entrancing Melody in our decks if we knew they were doing the Hero Precinct 1 thing. But here's where, if they have a Thief of Sanity, we have some answers. If they have a Teferi, whatever, they get to bounce an Incubation Druid. It's not the end of the world. And of course, Teferi does make Frilled Mystic a little awkward, but I feel like we're still going to be able to get some value with it later. Yeah, we do often bring out some Frilled Mystics against the like Teferi decks, at least on the play. On the draw, they counter Teferis on turn 3, which is really good, but can definitely be a little bit awkward, specifically on the play. So let's say if they have Hostage Taker or something, they might just curve out on us. That can happen on the draw. With Esper. Thought Erasure. Alright, so we have a hand that's reasonably Thought Erasure proof. See what they're going to take here. My guess is Nissa. Oh, Tamiya bites the dust. I guess that kind of makes sense because Tamiya can get back Nissa, but they might just have another Thought Erasure too. Just be taking their 2 favorite cards. Tyrant Scorn for Incubation Druid. Okay, so they're just planning to tempo us out of the game before we even do anything. Fair enough. Alright, hope those last 2 cards in their deck are pretty good. It looks like they milled Drown Catacomb with Thought Erasure there. Alright, so Growth Spiral looking a little unimpressive here with us not having very many lands. But that's one reason that I have thought about doing just no Growth Spirals on 4 Paradise Druids in some of these builds. So here we just play Hydrokrasis. Frilled Mystic as a 3-2 can't get through it to Teferi, and I really want to make sure that they're not going to be just being able to bounce a bunch of stuff with Teferi. Teferi, how do you say that? I don't know. Let's see if they have removal here. Okay, looks like they don't have removal here, so I am pretty comfortable. Feels like they're probably holding up a counter for Nissa. Let's attack Teferi and see what happens. I guess if they kill Hydrokrasis, I'll feel bad about having not cast Nissa. But this just feels very much like there's a counter spell in my future to me. All right, it's a tough decision. They've played 1 Tyrant Scorn already. They could have Mortify, but they could also have Dovin's Veto Negate, because they definitely got a good sense of what we're playing. Okay, so we get to hit the Teferi. That's excellent. We get to kill that next turn if they can interact. And here I'm just going to try and protect Nissa. I'm going to go for Growth Spiral. They can counter this and make a token, of course, but it's not so bad if they do. Play Hinterland Harbor, Play Island, and now we'll just cast this 3-2 for 4. Not ideal, but it blocks tokens, blocks hero. It's a card. It's a magic card. And opponent is doing the attack with some tokens thing. No, they're not. Okay. What are the cards in your hand? All right, they might just be flooded. That does happen to Esper here too sometimes. All right, so now I'm pretty happy just killing the Teferi, sorry. Making future Frilled Mystics better. See if they're going to tap to protect this a little bit. Interesting. So they're going to time wipe at instant speed, bouncing the hero. Wow, that's actually not bad at all. I don't care about that at all. So now I just get to cast Nissa. And if they can remove Nissa, I'm a little sad, but I get to go Nissa into plus Nissa into Incubation Druid. Now there's a question of whether I want to play this land or hold it to see if I can bait out a Thought Erasure. It's not going to matter. If I draw a land next turn, it won't really matter which one of those things I did, so I'm just going to hold it to bait them. That pause might let them know I have a land, of course, but whatever. Let's see what Teferi's doing here. Also, Time Wipe is one of their best cards against us post-board, so I'm pretty happy to have that one out of the way. Oh, Thakaya. Okay, that's a reasonable magic card. It's going to kill Incubation Druid, I assume. Should kill Incubation Druid. That's just a 3/5 next turn. No, they don't know what's in our hand, so I think both those choices could be reasonable. All right, Druid goes down, but now we just have an endless source of 3/3s, which is pretty good against their 2/2 and their 1/1s. All right, let's just charge right in, shall we? Yeah, I don't think these decks run Field of Ruin, but it's a good habit. Just a good note about the deck is try to make a habit of having your Nissa, if it doesn't make a difference, if you have like plenty of lands, plenty of loose forces, try to make sure that your Nissa, the cards you do stuff with Nissa are basic lands, because Field of Ruin is a card that shows up sometimes in the format, and you do not want your opponent's Field of Ruins to become removal spells. All right, get into turn again here. So we have a Nissa that's threatening to ultimate, which is very good. Opponent's Teferi is going to have almost no value against us here. They can bounce Oath of Kaya, and then use Oath of Kaya to kill a land, which is okay. We don't really care too much about that. If they do that, they're down to 3 mana. Oh, they have another Teferi. Alright, that's solid. So they might be doing like the Oath of Kaya. Huh. They're not doing much. This Teferi's just dead. They're going to like use it to like buy time and draw cards, but there are very few things that this deck likes more than opponents buying time and drawing cards, because we tend to be better at it. So notably, here's a place where Tamiyo is probably a better draw for us than Chemist's Insight would be. Paradise Druid is a little bit mediocre, but is what it is. And of course, as soon as we draw a Hydroid Crisis or something in this spot, we are tremendously far ahead. The things we're most scared of now are like another time wipe, maybe? Alright, with the opponent. Yeah, the Teferi, they're going to be dead pretty soon from all this blitzing. Nissa's also going to ultimate next turn. The question is, do we even want to ultimate Nissa next turn? We'll, of course, wait and see how that turn after this goes. We'll pretend to hold up Frilled Mystic just to make them sad. I guess they'll be happy when they find we don't have a Frilled Mystic, which is kind of a bummer. Let's see if they oath down the Nissa here. That would be amusing. They're killing a land. Okay, that does not make the board any better for you. What else is in your hand? Nothing? Wow, look at that, a Mass Manipulation. So, at this point, I think I want to plus Nissa one more time. This might be hugely greedy, but like, they haven't had an answer to Nissa yet. I don't think they're about to have an answer to Nissa. Like, they could have another time wipe, but then we just ultimate Nissa, and then we have we have plenty of mana for the rest of the game anyway. So this is fine. Something flashing in. Oh no, a Mortify. Yeah. Mortify, this card is not good against our deck. You might have to play it because you don't have enough other stuff that matters, but single target removal not known for being super powerful against us. So there I play the Breeding Pool is because we have now a big spell in hand. That might be lazy because now if they have Basilica Bellhaunt, we lose Mass Manipulation, but honestly this game is over and a half anyway. Now do I ultimate Nissa? Now I think I will ultimate Nissa. I could just keep plussing it, but getting all the lands out of the deck just makes our future draws incredibly gas. Like just really, really good. Plus, you know, I like it. I know the viewers like to see Planeswalker Ultimates. It's got some Breeding Pools. Alright, so adding all the mana we need for the rest of the game to the board. Now there are only like 6 lands, 7 lands, something like that left in the deck. Now we'll hold the forest, I guess, just in case they have a Basilica Bellhaunt. Alright, so it may seem like they had a pretty poor draw, and it does look like they flooded maybe a little bit. They surveilled a land, and they drew 9 more. So it's like, you know, their deck obviously isn't half lands. They got a little unlucky, but they did also cast a bunch of their interactive spells. And it turns out that unless you have a Thief of Sanity, or like a big Teferi, something to grind like real long-term card advantage, this deck will just run you over. So if their draw was bad, our draw was kind of medium, in that we never drew a Hydroid Crisis or something. Can you imagine this game if we had drawn a Hydroid Crisis? But no, we still just stomped on them because if they can't kill Nissa, it's bad news. Bad, bad news. Okay, Esper midrange down, so yeah, maybe a little unlucky in that game too. And I guess they never draw blue in game 1, but again, it's like, you know, the problem with Esper decks is like you just don't have that many outstanding top decks. You can't just turn the game around in one shot. You don't have a lot of long-term source of card advantage. Also, you're a 3-color deck playing kind of intense mana costs sometimes. So a lot of little things that are trouble for that deck that are not trouble for this deck. Okay, let's jump into Bant Theft for a bit. Obviously, those first 2 matches were pretty sweet. But let's show off 2 versions, get a little bit more of a feel for how this Bant deck feels. And see if we can Teferi some nerds. So yeah, a little bit of word on like how I feel about matchups now. Still, aggro decks are definitely places where you can kind of feel most vulnerable. Like, Rule's very good, White Meanie is pretty good, Red can be tough though. Phoenix can be a little tough. I was checking my record, I'm only 4-3 against Phoenix, which makes it kind of a tougher matchup than many. This hand. We're on the play. Have all our colors. We have an Entrancing Melody, which is good against aggro. We have Hydroid Crisis and Frilled Mystic, which are pretty reasonable against control. Oh man, I wanna keep it because it just looks so good. We have 12 ramp spells in our deck. I'm still gonna mull it. I think that in a tournament I would mull that hand. I don't think it's good enough. And now, of course, we draw this, which is much worse. But so it goes. We're gonna keep it. I forget if I turned the Bant version back to having 3 mass manipulation. I probably should. I think that 4 mass manipulation was great when like no one was ready for it. I think the format has started to adjust a little bit, and I think you can safely go to 3 just because the other cards in your deck are also very good. Wow. Okay. Well, we are not hitting these lands. This version is also only running 25, which is a little low. But let's see if we can figure out what our opponent's playing. It looks like Grixis pile. Yep. Yep. Would have been a really good hand to keep that first hand. Oh, Grixis Planeswalker stuff. Dove in Hand of Control. Alright, so if we don't draw a land next turn, we'll concede. If we do, we'll fight on. Alright, we're done here. Hopefully they won't know if we're Nexus or Civic Mass Manipulation. But seeing the Planeswalkers at least gives us some idea what to bring in. That wasn't fun. Oh well. Alright, so Entrancing Melodies definitely come out. Definitely want all 4 Mass Manipulation now that we know what's going on. Bring in some negates. How is Teferi in this matchup? They're generally playing at sorcery speed and they don't have a lot of targets. So I feel like I'm not a huge fan of Teferi. I think I like Knight of Autumn. Knight of Autumn can kill, sometimes they play like Prison Realm or Mox Amber, and it's also a little bit of a better attacker than Thrashing Brontodon. Tolsmere doesn't seem very good. Deputy might be okay. I assume they're running board wipes, which makes Deputy a little awkward. And the fact that it adds like no clock is a bit awkward. It's like this card is a removal spell, and it's solid at being a removal spell. But it's also vulnerable to their removal in a way that a lot of our other cards give them like very little benefit of playing removal against it. Doesn't really attack. Alright, I'm not going to do that. We're going to bring in some Knights. Gonna cut... What do we cut here? Could cut the Biogenic Ooze, which is a little bit vulnerable to other sweepers and doesn't add any value when it comes into play. Sure, I'll cut Biogenic Ooze. It's possible we want Vivians. Oh, we don't play Vivians because this is the Bant version. That is one awkward thing. We have maybe a little bit less of a sideboard against control. I think I like this. I don't think we need 4 counter spells. I think we deal with their spells by stealing their stuff and attacking their planeswalkers, mostly. Alright, let's draw something that looks a little better here. I think if I am playing the Bant version, I definitely want to cut a Mass Manipulation for a land. That was a little silly of me not to. But granted, this hand, on the other hand, looks real smooth. They might be playing Thought Erasure, which means if they take our Hydroid Crisis, their hand doesn't really do that much, but definitely never turn down a hand that is like mana and at least 1 payoff. That is what you want to be seeing with the deck. And play, I guess, Breeding Pool, start with, just so they don't know we're Bant right away, and also Frilled Mystic appreciates having flexible sources of mana on the battlefield early. But it probably doesn't matter what lane we play there, to be honest. Ooh, Teferi, okay. So we want a Tef, or we want to Incubation Druid? They could have an early sweeper, which could make Tef a little bit awkward. Huh. I think I'll start with mana here. Tef can just cycle stuff, which is cool, but I like that we can adapt the Incubation Druid on turn 3 if they're not going to be able to kill it. And that lets us play a giant Hydroid Crisis. If they Thought Erasure, and this play was a little worse, I don't know if this random Planeswalker stuff deck runs Thought Erasure. It's a thing, you never know what these decks actually play. So, when in doubt, I fall back on the heuristic of, like, make a bunch of mana. Mana is good. You like mana in your deck. Alright, so now we're just going to sit here and hold up Adapt on Incubation Druid. They could, like, kill Incubation Druid end of our turn and play a Planeswalker, but we aren't that sad, because then we just get to play Teferi and another Druid. And there's a good chance that if they're trying to cast something on turn 3, then we just adapt the Druid in response, and they're sad. And they could also play Teferi and bounce the Druid, but then we just kill the Teferi, and we just replay the cards that are in our hand, so I'm just keeping the option to do this really powerful thing, like playing a Crisis for 6 on turn 4. Let's see what happens. And of course, if they have like a Cry, and they can't have Cry the Carnarium, or definitely Clarion. Nice Interplanar Beacon. Oh, look, it's Dovin. Oh no, not a Dovin Hand of Control. What am I going to do? I assume this card is fine in some of the Planeswalker decks. Like, I trust that Zach Elsick, who made the blue-white Planeswalker deck, like, knows what he's doing, but gosh darn, this card just never, ever looks like a constructed playable Magic the Gathering card. Okay, so we don't really care about attacking Dovin to death. I'm just going to play a giant Hydra Crisis and see if we can draw a nice counterspell and lock the game up real early. They're not going to have a Wrath next turn. I guess they could have a Ritual of Soot. If they have another black source, I'm shrugging and you can't see it because there's only a microphone, but I'm shrugging. I don't know what they have, but I really don't care. It's a nice thing about running into these pile decks. You don't need to play around them too much. You just slam your spells, which are very good spells. That's a second year planner beacon. Alright, so many of the things they could cast, there are 2 white sources away from having Cleansing Nova. This is just endlessly amusing to me. What is Teferi going to do? Get a Bounce the Incubation Druid? Nice. I did sink some mana into that thing, but now I just killed Teferi. Dovin is just ticking down, not doing much. This feels like a reasonable time to cast my own Teferi and a Mana Dork. I could cast Chemistry's Insight, but it costs 5. Dovin is so powerful. Oh man. So Dovin eats it. What are the things I can play next turn? Like Sarkin, Nicol Bolas? Yeah, I like the idea of having... I was going to say maybe there's some consideration for casting Teferi to bounce the Krasis, but I'd rather be forcing Dovin to downtick on that. We'll play Teferi first, just in case we draw like a negate. That could make us change our mind about what we're doing here. If they have Nicol Bolas, we're still going to have 2 creatures that can attack it if it wants to destroy the Hydroid Krasis. And if it destroys our other creature and then they don't with the Hydroid Krasis, we can still attack it. Paradise Druid looking pretty good here. Gonna submit 0. We'd rather have the 6/6 on the board for now. I think we'll draw more big spells later. Like, look, Anissa who shakes the world. The fact that we're not even afraid of Wraths here is amazing. We're going to get to kill this Dovin next turn with our Nissa, unless they do something that I don't know what it would be. This feels like Nicol Bolas. Oh, Sarkin, okay. So Sarkin is going to, what, make a 4/4 dragon? I guess that's moderately annoying. It would be nice to have one of the mass speculations around now, but I still don't care that much. So here we're going to go take up Teferi. We definitely can't attack their walkers now because Sarkin is in play. I think it's just Nissa. Distract the attacks, make a bunch of mana, put a bunch more stuff on the board. That seems fine. Yeah, that seems fine. And yeah, Nissa's vulnerable, but if they are going at Nissa and start with life total, like we are taking 12 next turn if we're not careful, so let's be a little more careful than that. Yeah, so it does help draw one of the 4 mass manipulations. That definitely does help these Walker matchups a bit, but I still think I'm feeling okay here. Like, if they have a good way to stop us from interacting with Sarkin, things could get awkward. Oh, the fact that Hydra Crisis also blocks the dragons is hilarious, by the way. That makes me feel good. Yeah, we could die here. It's possible we die here. There's also up on, I suppose, an island. We cast 2. We're just going to cast all 3 Mana Dorks here, just make sure the board has a bunch of stuff on it. Because they are pretty far away from having Cleansing Nova. They might play Ritual of Soot. But, I'm just going to... We don't know what they have, so we're going to go for the play of make a bunch of stuff happen. So yeah, we'll see what happens. The Planeswalker Armada could bash our faces in a little bit. Take 8 maybe. But we also are going to be able to kill basically all their Planeswalkers, thanks to having just a lot more creatures on the board, including at least 1 3/5 Incubation Druid. Let's see what happens. You could picture us losing. I will say these kind of generic mid-rangey Planeswalker, well, not mid-rangey, Planeswalker control decks can be outstanding matchups. They often just have no answers to mass manipulation, which I had some like Spell Piercers that you can play around. And that's really good for us. This is also already a good time to think, like, would this Chemistry's Insight have been better as a Tango? I think my answer is possibly. It's like we would have been digging for mass manipulation here, which is cool. Yeah, I think Tameo is better than Chemistry's Insight in the mid-range Planeswalker matchups. So here they could bounce Hydra Crisis with Teferi, which on the one hand is like, oh no, our 6/6. On the other hand, it's like, oh yeah, we have a lot of mana. We're going to get to draw a lot of cards, and probably one of them will be a mass manipulation. Although we might just have to kill Sarkhan next turn and take a bit of a breather on that. Alright, so we're taking 4. Or are they attacking with the dragon? I don't know whether it's correct to attack with the dragon. I guess I did instant speed removal. Maybe that's fine. Nope, just killing Nissa, sure. Okay. So, they have Thought Erasure now. Take the Crisis. Another Planeswalker. Thief of Sanity. Okay. That's a magic card. Sure. Alright, so there's a dragon on the battlefield. What am I doing today? Plus Teferi. So the Planeswalkers I want to kill the most are Teferi and Sarkhan, because Teferi's turning off Frilled Mystic, and Sarkhan is what's actually going to kill us. Probably the best thing to do is to go at Sarkhan with Island, Incubation Druid, and Incubation Druid, and then pump whatever Druid is going to be the one that hits Sarkhan, because we can't really take out Tef this turn. If they don't block, we get to pay a big Hydrate Crisis. If they do block one Incubation Druid, at least we're pumping that one, and then we can play a defensive Hydrate Crisis to stop Thief of Sanity from coming in. And then we have a Teferi on 3 anyway, so that's pretty good. So we definitely get to kill Sarkhan, which is a big threat. If they play another Sarkhan, that could be tough. Let's see what happens though. So attack you, attack you, attack you. So one of these Incubation Druids is going to die. But that's okay. They do have an option here to try... Never mind, I'm thinking too fast. Oh yes, they could do this. They can block Dragon on a land, and they can block Thief on an Incubation Druid, which will take out an Incubation Druid if we don't want to eat their Thief. And unfortunately, I think we're kind of just forced to do this play, adapt here, make sure we kill Sarkhan, we lose an Incubation Druid and a land, so like good exchange for them overall. And then I'm just going to play the Hydrate Crisis out. They don't have any way to remove it right now. If they're forced to spend like a Teferi Bounce or a Nickel Bolus minus on the Crisis, I'm pretty happy. I just want to make sure that they are not going to get to just kill Teferi for free here. Now we do another one. Okay, yeah, so no mass manipulations yet. There's still 4 of them sitting in the bottom of 42 cards somewhere, but second Hydrate Crisis is really excellent. So worst case is they like kill Crisis, hit Teferi, and then hit us with Thief of Sanity, but with only 6 mana, our deck is not that scary against us. And they have to hit Teferi with the Dragon, because otherwise we just bounce the Dragon. I guess they could hit Teferi with Thief just to take it down, but most players will never do that. That just makes them feel silly. Okay, yeah. So people really like getting Thief of Sanity hits. They're going to be like, what kinds of treats am I getting off their deck? I'm going to be like, dude, you're probably not going to be that happy with it. Okay, they milled 2 lands. It'd be pretty funny if they got another one, but yeah, worst thing they could have would be like a mass manipulation, maybe. You could probably handle that. All right, another Thief, sure. All right, so now we get to kill Teferi. And then we have Hydrate Crisis and Frilled Mystic, and we're probably in good shape. Okay, so now we just go in with Druid at Teferi, Druid at Teferi, sorry, again. Feel bad about doing this, but I can't help myself. Teferi dies, now my counters are unlocked. So again, Teferi against Frilled Mystic can look weird, but usually you have enough mana dorks just get off the table eventually. And now what do I cast? So I could go Crisis for 4 and hold up Frilled Mystic. I could go Crisis for 6 and just hold up Negate. Crisis for 4 only trades with a Dragon. Draws me 1 less card, which is a bit sad. But if they just attack with Dragon, I don't actually have to block. In fact, I might not block. I like the idea of being able to get some use out of the Frilled Mystic here. The fact that the Frilled Mystic can go turn around and attack them and get through like the use of Sanity is nice. Actually, let's go like this. I'm going to go ahead and play out Krasis for 6. We'll hold up Dovin's Veto mana. Make sure to do that in case we draw a Veto here. I think they're probably not going to have 2 non-creature spells that can get through Hybrid Krasis, is my feeling. And I do like drawing the extra card. This might be wrong. Very possible this is wrong. We're going to give it a shot here. I think Frilled Mystic is going to have value later in the game anyway. They're going to have plenty of spells with the Thieves of Sanity. Wait. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I just got out my mana for a second. Sorry about that. And we can get a land drop this turn, which is extra sweet. Okay, Land Druid, not that impressive, but just digging us deeper toward those mass manipulations and stuff. So a handful of counters, we need to like not lose the board this turn, and then after that, with Chemistry's Insight, we should be pretty comfortable. Oh, negate costs 3 mana! Oh no, Dovin! Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, well, this is what I get for talking to chat. Come on, chat. Wow. Wow, okay, they don't have a removal for Hybrid Krasis. That's cool. I guess you get 1 Thief of Sanity trigger, but now I have negate up again, so... Oh, man, that Dovin had me scared. I wonder if they even realized that all my counter spells were turned off. That'll be a good thing to remember for the actual Magic tournaments. It's going to be playing super good gracious. Alright, so hit Incubation Druid land means they probably hit some kind of cool spell. Wow, alright, so that makes 1 mana for them. Can't adapt it. And Thief Sanity not that good against us. Is that all? That was all they had. Okay, well now we're in an incredible position, obviously. We just have endless mana, endless cards, a giant monster that they can't really attack through. I will cast Chemistry's Insight here, see if I hit anything cool off of it. Got 2 counters, feeling pretty comfortable. Chemistry's Insight hits some more garbage, but we'll just develop the mana a little bit more. We already played land. All right, let's go. Land War, make a Land War. We're still holding up 2 counters. Did they take a Frilled Mystic from us? It was a pause like they had something. Alright, so now we're holding up 2 counters, and if all we have to do next turn is negate, then I get to play Chemistry's Insight end of turn. If they try to do something like, I don't know, resolve a mass manipulation against us, it's not going to work. We don't have any more entrancing melodies in our deck. Feeling pretty strong from this position. We'll see if they want to sacrifice the Thief of Sanity to get a hit in, or if they're just trying to wait and stall. Alright, this seems like a good play. I think they've realized that like the game is not going to get any better from here on out. It's just going to get worse. So they're just trying to get the value off the Thief of Sanities while they can and maybe find something that turns things around. So we're at 7. Worth noting, we don't really have much life gain aside from Hybrid Krasis at this point, so we do have to be a little cautious of that. But I don't think they're going to be able to put many more threats down on the table against what we've assembled here. Alright, they did not take a Teferi, which means they must have gotten something pretty cool. Let's see what it is. Best thing they could have would be a Hybrid Krasis. But we would just counter it. Wow, they are not doing anything. Alright, let's, so if we Chemistry's Insight, if we Chemistry's Insight, we still have Frilled Mystic mana up in case they have a Frilled Mystic, which is nice. Let's do that. Discard this Top Garden. Draw 2 cards. Oh, look, a Hybrid Krasis. So still no mass manipulation. I am starting to suspect they might have one of those sitting under their cards here, but we're doing fine. So another situation, notably where Tamiyo would be a little bit better than Chemistry's Insight. They might have countered Tamiyo, of course. One nice thing with Chemistry's Insight is no one ever counters it, but it's possible that we are in a little bit more difficulty because we can't just yank a Nissa out of our graveyard or something, or dig deep for mass manipulation. So maybe Tamiyo's fine, but I just feel so safe against these pile decks. All right. This is where Arena will often start to struggle with the sheer amount of mana you're generating, so you have to be a little patient with the software sometimes. So I want to hold up Negate. I think I just want to hold up Negate, and Frilled Mystic. Just be like extra safe against anything. So I'm just going to cast Krasis for 6. 6 is a perfectly fine size. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this crisis is definitely big enough. Stop pretending that it's not big. Alright. Yeah, so Arena will sometimes miscount mana amounts, which is a little awkward. Now they Frilled Mystic, and they're like, got him! And I'm like, no, no you don't. You don't got me. Stop it. Taking care of your Frilled Mystic, trigger stacking. So now if they have a Hydra Crisis, their Hydra Crisis is bigger than our Hydra Crisis is, but it's not bigger than both of them at once. And oh, I drew a Mass Manipulation. It looks like the game is going to end next turn. Yep. Okay. So, fun game of how could we lose from here? The answer is they seem to just be Grixis Splash Teferi, so they're not going to Cleansing Nova. Ritual of Soot would clear out all of my stuff, but also all of their stuff. They're going to Thought Erasure. No thank you. I would rather hold on to Mass Manipulation if at all possible. And what else could they possibly have? Like Nicol Bolas wouldn't threaten us very much at this point. Planeswalkers are good at grinding advantages, but their individual effects are not strong enough to overcome boards like this one. That's a nice thing with Mass Manipulation. It has a much bigger effect. Oh, look at that. Okay. They did take one. Notice how even if we didn't have this counterspell, we could have just Mass Manipulated back everything next turn, which would have been hilarious. But I think we're fine. I think we're doing just fine. Ah. Okay, they didn't want to keep playing. We didn't get to cast big Mass Manipulation. That's sad. Oh, right, it's game 3. Ah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay, so playing Thief of Sanity. They're playing Sarkin. That makes me a little more interested in having this 4th Teferi. I think it's just going to be good enough much of the time. Alright, what's going on? Still not super interested in the vetoes. We still have only these 20, 12, 18, 5 lands. Do I cut a Mass Manip? Do I cut a Chemister's Insight? On the draw, could consider cutting a Frilled Mystic because Teferi comes down. Didn't see any real removal from them, notably, so Biogenic Ooze might actually just be outstanding. Let's bring in a Biogenic Ooze. Cut a... Moose a bit vulnerable to Sarkin, but she's still just so good that you never really want to not have her. Could just go down the Night of Autumns. I didn't see any artifacts for enchant. Yeah, I didn't see any targets for Night of Autumn, so we'll just go down that. Just kind of play our normal big game plan, but switching out the Entrancing Melodies for negates. Now, of course, given they have Thief of Sanity and Sarkin tokens, you might think, well, maybe you should play the Entrancing Melody, and that might be right, but I just think it's going to be a little too often that it sits in the hand not doing very much. Especially since they have Teferi and can kind of bounce the Thieves or Sarkins would take. Against decks with lots of creatures, you would still want Melodies even if they do have Teferi, because those decks are trying to race you, and Teferiing their own creatures sets them way back on tempo and so on. But against this deck, it's more of a grind. Then again, if we lose, it's likely going to be because they have dragons and thieves. So, it's, you know, it's a challenge to figure out what to do. Alright, this hand's great. Not super Thought Erasure proof, but has all the stuff we want. Early Elf to pressure walkers. Maybe we don't want any more lands at this point, but we're doing okay here. So a reminder, we're going to need to play blue lands for the next 2 turns to make sure we hit Frilled Mystic. Let's see if you Thought Erasure here. No, no Thought Erasures. No Lava Coils either. Okay, so I guess they could counter Teferi, but pretty sure we still run them out. If they counter Teferi, they're not counting a Mass Manipulation later with that same card. All right. And they could have a Thief of Sanity, so let's just plus Teferi for now. If we kill Teferi, I'm a little sad not to have drawn the card, but happier just to be able to hedge against one of the few cards they have that's really scary. Wow. Look at all those red-blue lands in this Teferi Thief of Sanity deck. Okay, Narset. Okay, that's another form of punishment for not drawing the card a bit earlier, but Narset's not going to last long. We'll draw our cards in time. Good time. When we draw our cards, we may be returning a Frilled Mystic to our hand, which is sweet. And they found Thought Erasure. That's going to be a great target for Frilled Mystic next turn. Yeah, one other thing about Teferi is it is a legendary permanent. You can draw 2 of them and have it be a little awkward. But I feel okay. I'm just going to pass. Cast Thought Erasure, we'll frill it. If they cast anything, we'll frill it. Would this Frilled Mystic be better as a Tameo? Maybe. But again, Tameo is very good against this pile generally, so I'm not trying to infer too much here. Okay, they do have their colors. We are playing a game. If they have Disdainful Stroke for the Frilled Mystic, then we're in not my favorite position. But they didn't, yeah, I feel like it's pretty unlikely they're going to have that specific combination of cards. Nope, goodbye Thought Erasure. So unless they kill this Frilled Mystic, we're taking down their Narset, and then I get to bounce the Frilled Mystic with Teferi, draw a card, and then we're just doing an incredible looping, beautiful thing. And Ugin. Yeah, nope. Wow, okay. So now we just go ahead and run this beautiful play. Smash Narset. Smash you. We could also play Biogenic Ooze this turn. Actually, let's be not too cute and just do that. Hit Narset. Minus Teferi on. I guess if they play Sarkhan, we just mass manipulation the token kill Sarkhan, so we're just going to bounce this Frilled Mystic back to our hand. Draw a card. Glacial Fortress, so Biogenic Ooze not being free. Pardon me. Yeah, some people have questioned including Biogenic Ooze. I just like it because it's a big threat. Nissa would have been better there. It's possible we could play 4 Nissas, but sometimes Biogenic Ooze is just a little faster in a way that's good. Like you can't just hit Nissa with some with like a flying creature or something like that. Biogenic Ooze is 2 creatures right away. Biogenic Ooze doesn't rely on you using your lands to possibly get Wrath later. Alright, this thing, we're just going to discard extra Teferi. We'll discard Temple Garden here. So now we just get to sit back on Frilled Mystic, and our Biogenic Oozes are growing every turn. Another element of like being able to play a Drago deck sometimes, which is sick. Gonna plus up the Teferi. We could steal Nicol Bolas this turn, that is an option. Actually, everyone's stuck on 4 lands. Maybe we do just steal Nicol Bolas. They're not going to Wrath the board. At least they're not going to be able to Wrath Nicol Bolas and Biogenic Ooze because Ritual Set's a thing. Yeah, let's just kill him. I want y'all to be able to see another game. I think this one's going to end pretty fast. So we're just going to be a little greedy and rely on the fact that we now have 11 power on board, soon to be 13. And a Teferi with a bounce available. Yep, okay. That was easy. Okay. So let's remember to make the changes to the deck that we kind of wanted to make here. Should this deck be running Tamio? I still don't know, man. I still don't know. I think I'll stick with the Chemisters here. Bring in... That was 14 white. That was 12 white sources here. Let's add another Sun Petal Grove. Actually, how many blue sources? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16? Let's add 16 and 17 green sources. Still going to add Sun Petal Grove. Cut 1. Could cut the other Chemisters inside and still on mass manipulations, actually. Let's just do that. I think Teferi being in the deck makes Chemisters inside a lot less important, because it helps ensure that our opponents are going to have to play an into Frilled Mystic if they want to do anything. So that's like a really good 1-2 punch. 11 Rampart Stone. We could also cut the 4th Chemisters Insight for the 4th Teferi and just go all in on Teferi and see how that feels. Why don't we actually try that? Chemisters Insight and Chemisters Insight Teferi are good in a lot of the same matchups. Let's bring Teferi out of the sideboard, which is okay. And what do we throw into the sideboard? I think I just want more anti-aggro stuff. Control still feels like an insane matchup here. So let's add a bottom, Ration Bronthodon. Actually, we're now a green, white, blue deck. We have maybe some more options. Could add a Time Wipe. Time Wipe is not good with all these mana creatures, actually, even if it does bounce Hydroid Gracis, which is fun. Could add our own Tristani. We could add an Oketra, just something big and powerful and fun. Let's not be cute, though. I'm maybe super lazy to set a 4th Deputy. Whatever. Let's roll. Yeah, I'm not sure what the Bant deck struggles with compared to the blue-green deck, so it's hard to tell what to sideboard in. Deputy Attention is just a solid overall card. Kind of cleanly replace our worst cards in most matchups without being too dead. Yeah, we'll probably one more match in the video. Sorry for all the delays and stuff as we do sideboarding and whatever, but I feel like, I mean, A, it's a low-effort video. Y'all should know it's a low-effort video. B, we're trying to, show a little bit of what it's like to actually work on these decks. Just people can see the process behind the ranking. Not that I think I'm actually the best player in the world. Far, far, far from it. I've stumbled onto a good deck, and I've been playing it long enough to know how to play it pretty good. And that has been enough. This hand's definitely a keep. Double Teferi, little awkward. But nice if maybe one of these were Chemistry Insight, but still feeling okay about the draw. Alright, White Weenie. Teferi is probably fine here. It certainly does a little bit of work against Stupidalia. That draw, on the other hand, is insanely good. So, Entrancing Melody, your best card against White Weenie, bar none. Even post-board, your best card against White Weenie. And let's see how fast they're going to come out here. Oh, it's possible that I should have actually... I should have played Hallowed Fountain instead of Temple Garden, because it's possible if they had, like, Bodyguard into Legion's Landing, I would want to steal a token to stop them from flipping the landing right away. So that's a small mistake on my part. So here, if they play a Marshall, I'm just going to want to bounce it with Teferi. If they play a History of Benalia, I want to bounce it with Teferi. If they play a Gideon, I'm going to be a little sad because Gideon's really good against us. If they play their own Teferi, I'm going to be like, thanks for not playing a creature. Okay, it's History of Benalia, sure. Yep, make your token. Okay, so no blocks. If we get another mana ramp card, it's possible we want to steal a token and then play our other dork. That's speculation. Okay, so we are not blocking with this Druid. There's no way we're blocking with this Druid, so I'm just going to take the time to cast a Painland, Teferi. Hopefully this Teferi takes 2 damage away from us. That would be great if they are distracted enough to see that happen. Bounce Yonder Knight. We're not completely out of the woods, but the fact that if they play a Marshall, we can just steal it with Entrancing Melody makes me feel pretty good. If they play Loxodon, then we can take a token and then bounce one of their countered up creatures with the other Teferi. Alright, it's a Marshall. I like that. So I assume they hit Teferi and hit me. If they just hit me, that's really smart. They probably should just hit me, because like, this Teferi's not going to matter this game. But sure. Oh, Teferi. Yeah, Teferi removed a token, gain 3 life. That's not bad. Let's just steal the Marshall here. And then even if they can get rid of the Marshall, we are only taking 8, which is fine. I think that's fine. All right, we'll go. Yeah, so the other option that we have, let's pause for a second. The other option we have is cast Teferi and then bounce the Marshall and steal a token. That would give us a 2/2, and it would mean that Marshall is only... Actually, that plays probably better, come to think of it. That like minimizes the damage they can actually output. And then we have Mass Manipulation, which lets us steal the Marshall later anyway. And we have Hydro Grace from after. So actually, Teferi really shining here. Teferi's actually looking great. Just the fact that it's buying us time and letting us kind of sequence a little better because it's cheap. I'm really liking this. I think the Bant version might actually be the best one. And I'm a brewer. I'm loath to just be like, stuff Teferi in your deck and it'll be better. But I think that the answer might just be stuff Teferi in your deck and it'll be better. Yeah. So hidden mode of Entrancing Melody taking tokens is super good. Super duper good. It feels amazing. So the history is going to make this Dauntless Bodyguard a 4/2, which means that we can take up to 6 damage if they remove the token, but with a Hydro Crisis in hand, 5 is a perfectly healthy life total. Mass Manipulation can be cast at instant speed with Teferi if they don't kill it. Worth noting, although honestly I just like casting at sorcery speed. They probably don't run any counters main deck, but I don't mind just unless there's a good reason to, just casting your spells when they're going to resolve is a good rule. Oh, interesting. They're not recasting Marshall. Are they going for a big Loxodon? No, they're not going for a big Loxodon. They're just going to put as much stuff on the board as possible so that Marshall's really good next turn. I see the philosophy you're going for. That kind of makes sense. All right, so I'm going to trade with this. Going to trade with the Aspirant because it can fly next turn if I don't do that. And then we're going to have all sorts of really interesting options next turn, so let's see what we draw. Another Teferi. All right, that is not going to be played this turn because we can't adapt. If you could adapt Druid and play Teferi, that would be maybe a consideration, but we can't, so we're not going to. So different options are play a 4/4 Hydroid Crisis, use Mass Manipulation to steal something, one thing, or sit back and adapt the Druid. Mass Manipulation taking a 2/1 is not very good, so we're not going to do that. Crisis is probably the best play, because they can't play Marshal and remove Crisis. But the other option is to sit there with Incubation Druid, have them attack into it, and then you can just adapt the Druid, block something, kill something, because it's going to be a 3/5, then have a Mass Manipulation for 2 the next turn. That's really strong. The one problem with that play is that it loses horrendously if they just play Baffling End, or I guess they don't play that main deck Conclave Tribunal. In that case, it's a really bad play. The question is, are they ever going to cast Conclave Tribunal when they might think you have a Frilled Mystic and they can just attack in? All right. Oh darn it! I don't know what to do. All right, we're gonna just press next. I guess they could also play Teferi. I just don't think we're likely to get punished for this Druid play. I think they're almost certainly just going to cast Marshal, swing out, flip this landing, get a creature killed. Yeah, okay. So we're now I don't think we are going to lose this game ever. Here comes some creatures. I guess we are taking 8, which is a thing. We're going to block the Aspirant for sure. Aspirant, so yeah, taking a bunch of damage, but then they're going to have like nothing left. All said and done. Block, adapt the Druid. Take out the Aspirant, drop to 3. Okay, they drew another 1-drop. That's interesting. Does that change the math at all? So if we steal Marshal and Aspirant, they have a 2/2, a 2/2, and a 1/1. They can't kill us even if they can remove 1 blocker, because then we still have 1 blocker left. Actually, they can kill us if they remove 1 blocker. So then Conclave Tribunal is lethal. Other option is we could play Teferi and Mass Manipulation, but we'd have to take 2 damage off a land, so I'm not interested in that. Yeah, this is definitely just Mass Manipulation. X2. Snag Marshal, snag Aspirant. There's some thought to take the Lifelinker, but no, we actually just take the untapped creature for sure. If we take the Lifelinker, we die, so let's not do that. Also make sure that you're careful about targeting bodyguards, because bodyguards can just sacrifice themselves sometimes. It's not great. Alright, so now they need Conclave Tribunal. Or Teferi, I suppose. Conclave Tribunal or Teferi would do it. But it's not Snowborn Sentry, so instead the game is over. So some tough spots there, even though our draw was pretty good. Notably, we were on the draw. Were we on the draw? I don't actually remember. I think we were on the draw. So just keeping the life total high just in case of shenanigans. And then we cast a Hydroid Crisis for a large number, and then we Teferi, and then we do it again. So that's Nexus 8. That should be the Scoop Crisis. Yeah, I'll have to look back and try to remember if we were even on the draw. I don't remember what happened in that game. But like kind of an awkward hand slightly. We didn't have Frilled Mystic would have been really good at many points there. But actually, it was an awkward hand. I'm kidding. Entrancing Melody plus, yeah, it was a pretty good hand. It's a pretty good hand. Sorry. Don't mean to be. All right, so this deck, do we want Teferi? Teferi was great there, but we are bringing in a bunch of cards that are also really good. So we definitely bring in the Melody, we bring in these Brontodons, we bring in the Deputies, we bring in the Knights, I think, we bring in the Soul Symmeters. What are we cutting? So this matchup looks kind of excellent post-board with all the stuff we're bringing in, so I just want to focus on making sure we don't die in the course of doing awesome stuff. So Frilled Mystic, we have so many good sorcery speed spells. I think Frilled Mystic loses a little bit of potency here. Probably just cut that one. Definitely want to cut at least 1 Mass Manipulation. It looked great in that game, of course, but the way you lose these games, when your kind of sideboard is set up and you like feel pretty favored, the way you lose the game is that you draw like 2 Mass Manipulation in your opening hand and they don't come out fast enough and you die. It's possible we should take out all the Mass Manipulation. Instead, I think I'm going to do a split of like take out some Manipulation, take out a Crisis, take out probably 1 Teferi, maybe cut a couple of the Nissas. Maybe go down to 1 manipulation. I have so much removal now. There's going to be much more exchanges going, any more exchanges going on. I think I dropped to 1 manipulation and 2 Nissa. Try it like that. Is that 61 cards? Oh man. Did we go down a land on the draw? Could we go down a land on the draw? Alright, we'll go down a land on the draw and take out we cut a bunch of the manipulations. We'll take out a blue source. We'll take out Glacial Fortress. Oh no! Oh no, we ran out of time. Uh-oh. Alright, well, the good thing is, if we go to game 3, we've memorized our sideboard plan. Alright, you're seeing some looseness on the video here. Definitely not playing as tight as that first time. This hand looks great, and we'll keep it a little slow, of course. But if we can steal a token, this melody is going to be good. Alright, Dreadhorde really helps. We'll definitely play Hallowed Fountain here, making sure we can cast Melody for 0 if we decide that that's an optimal play for us. We'll see. The not having any sideboard cards is definitely going to make this harder. Okay, so they did the thing. They did the thing where they have the token, so I think we're definitely stealing that. Partly because it makes Lockstone a lot more awkward to cast, and then we have some, a 3-drop that we can cast into a 4-drop we can cast. So let's do this. Yep, so now if they don't have a Banalish Marshal, their attacks become super awkward. And while I'm saying we're like favored from here, they could easily just have a Marshal and then have us under a ton of pressure, which I would not like. I still don't hate this deck, even playing the Game 1 deck against them. Another Legion's Landing. Well, if they don't have anything else, it's probably going to get bounced by a Teferi here. Oh, a Double Field Mystic is going to be excellent this game. Let's just make sure we are, making sure we're playing lands that'll let us do that, but we're going to be fine on that front. So yeah, we just got a Teferi. It's going to get Spell Pierced. Does not get Spell Pierced. All right, we're just going to bounce this token, make sure we're turning off their 3rd land. Legion's Landing, not the best actual land in the world. Oh, look, another Entrancing Melody. Okay, so this draw was really good. We didn't have a bunch of our clunky stuff early. We're just drawing straight gas, and now either they're like, all right, so they, even on the draw, we took out all the Field Mystics, so they're not great at the draw, but they're just going to get completely destroyed by the Field Mystics now because they can't play around them. They do get to flip this landing, but then we counter whatever sweet 3-drop they plan to play. And I am perfectly comfortable sitting here. In theory, they could go for a land and then start pumping out landing tokens, but the thing is, just casting a 3-2 is fine against this deck. I'm almost tempted to cast a 3-2 now just to block this Larune Enforcer. I think I am going to do that, actually, because the best thing they could possibly do here is like cast, if they cast a Banalish Marshal, we just steal it. If they cast a History of Benalia, we don't care that much. We can steal a token, we can just Field Mystic their next play, and History of Benalia is not scary by itself. Alright, we're going to do this play, eat this Larune Enforcer, it's going to be delicious. And this lets us avoid having like Adanto just to go and do stuff. Alright, and I'm going to prioritize killing the Aspirant because that thing can fly later. Losing Teferi, but that's okay. Alright, play a Banalish Marshal, please. Okay, History of Benalia, so that was the best thing they could have had in that scenario, but still feeling okay. Mass Manipulation, an outstanding draw. So I'm going to take this opportunity to play Temple Garden tapped. And just wait. We'll trade Field Mystic for a Knight or whatever, we don't care. Yeah, so between the Manipulation and the Melody, they're punished really hard for not putting pressure down, but Mystic punishes them for putting pressure down. Tamiyo would probably be dead by now, I don't know. Alright, Field Mystic doing its thing here. Yeah, so here's a time when I wouldn't have loved Tamiyo, because Double History of Benalia kind of just eats right through her. Definitely just trade. No problems about that. Keep the board clear. Oh, another Teferi. Okay, yeah, this card's very good. It's a very good Magic card right here. Nice Knight token. So yeah, I really love that the Bant deck can do a credible impression of Bant midrange with all these haymakers in it too. And to be fair, our opponent got stuck on 3 lands. If they had been able to cast those histories on curve, we would not have liked it very much. But it's another thing. We're playing the deck with 26 lands in it. It's a lot easier not to get screwed in that way. All right, white goes down. I mean, as long as we're here for the video, I guess I'll do one more match. Make it good. See if we can get the 5-0. Yeah, and we'll try to remember to actually sideboard this time. So what's the matchup that would be like a really good? We played against Esper midrange. We played against like Walker stuff. Played against White Weenie. The matchup that I don't want to hit, but that would be like a really good representation, would be to run into mono red. So we could like see how the Bant deck does against that. That's probably what I should want to be testing against now, but we'll see what's going on. Ooh, yeah. So we can go Land Royals into Paradise Druid, but I think this is just too fragile. All right, this hand is okay. We really want a ramp spell, and we'll try to scry to get one. But, you know, Teferi would be okay too. So actually, yeah, the fact that Teferi is like another solid, like playable in this scenario is nice. All right, they're not running mono red. That's cool. That's a Teferi, so that's cool. Let's make sure they don't have anything. We could have Teferi if they play Paradise Druid. I'm gonna be a sad panda. But most other things, hopefully Teferi gets us our land drop, which lets us do Frilled Mystic things, and so on and so forth. Wow, okay. Oh, okay, so this is Command the Dreadhorde. I was thinking, when I saw this person was rank 17, I'm like, I wonder if they're playing Command the Dreadhorde. Because that's sort of the meme deck of the day. And it does look like they are playing Command the Dreadhorde. That might be a matchup where I actually like the blue-green version a little bit better. I don't know that Teferi is that good. It's like a Planeswalker that just kind of goes into the graveyard sometimes. It's not the best news. The nice thing is that Wild Growth Walker, if they want to like have Explore creatures do things, and they want to recast this Wild Growth Walker, we get to hold up Frilled Mystic. Frilled Mystic does an amazing job of holding it against Wild Growth Walker. Okay, Jadelight Ranger, sure. So if we have to like just trade Frilled Mystic with that, it's not the end of the world, but... Alright, so they hit Tamiyo, Hinterland Harbor, they kept Tamiyo, so they probably want to play Tamiyo. So that means I think I want to go for Hydra Crisis X2 here. We have another Hydra Crisis. And this trades with Jadelight Ranger. If they kill it with like Vraska and then kill Teferi, I'm sad. Hitting land drops makes me happy. Like if we go land Biogenic Ooze next turn, I'm going to be very happy. So let's see if one of those cards that we say Vraska. Show me the Vraska. No? Okay. Block. So they're trying to put lots of stuff in the graveyard. Actually, probably the smart thing to do is we should be holding Frilled Mystic as long as possible to make sure we can hit Command the Dreadhorde. If they play Tamiyo this turn, I'm going to be so happy. No, they played Wild Growth Walker. Oh, no, I'm not happy anymore. Okay. So that is what it is. Mana Free Draw and Entrancing Melody. Entrancing Melody instant speed here could be really sick. But we just drew Nissa. Alright, so now we're flooding, and it's a little awkward. So plus Teferi, Alright, so now we have like a handful of amazing expensive spells, so I'm just going to keep playing these Graces for 2 and try to hit land drops. Not the end of the world that this is happening. Alright, Entrancing Melody is a good card, even if it's not a land drop. But we're definitely a little behind now. That was like an awkward mulligan into an awkward start. And definitely just going to keep blocking these Branch Walkers. We're fueling the graveyard, but I think that's fine. How important is it to keep Teferi alive versus having something that can like pressure a Tamiyo? Actually, I'm not going to block here. I'm not going to block here. I think Teferi's never going to minus again. Our opponent's deck doesn't play any instants. Okay, so here's a Teferi. So now I'm really glad I have this creature. Although, boy, I wish I could hit more land drops. I could like threaten to steal this Teferi. That would be good. Oh, there's land drop. All right, so now I'm going to go... This just feels like a pretty obvious Nissa kill the Teferi. I don't think they have removal that's going to stop me from doing this. Though, I mean, these decks could be playing almost anything. I don't really know. Just going to go plus. So if they do command the Dreadhorde, they're at 14. They can bring back Jadelight Ranger. That's actually interesting. So if they do have command the Dreadhorde, we're going to be in some trouble here. There's some thought that maybe we should attack them with the Hydra Crisis, just to... One thing's in the graveyard right now. We got Jadelight Ranger, we got Baby Tef, we got Hydra Crisis that can't be brought back anyway. Okay, I'm actually going to do attack. Our opponent attack Teferi. I don't want Teferi to be able to minus, but I would like to be able to keep Nissa alive. Yeah, I want to keep Nissa alive so we can mass manipulation if they go for Command the Dreadhorde next turn, because that should turn the board around pretty well. And I guess actually attacking our opponent's life total doesn't even matter. So this is going to seem bizarre, but I'm just going to hit Teferi. I don't really care if they're drawing cards. I don't want them to go to the graveyard, just get commanded back and be able to bounce Nissa. I want them to have to choose between like playing Command the Dreadhorde and getting rid of Nissa. Because if they have to make that choice, that's where I'm really happy. And then we're going to draw a breeding pool, and we're going to add a bunch of numbers to this mass manipulation, and it's going to be sick. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So hard to get punished for this. I don't think they can kill both of these creatures. Nissa's definitely going to live, unless they can kill Nissa, which would require like another Teferi. Really hoping this is just the value command of the Dreadhorde. Yay, it's the value command of the Dreadhorde. Alright, so they're going to gain some life. Boo, hiss. They're going to take my Teferi. Boo, hiss. And then we're going to take some stuff. Yay! And then we're going to take some more stuff. Yay! That's how this is going to go, I think. Yes, and I understand that there's a Teferi on top of the deck. Alright. So, big boys coming through, losing the land. Oh well. So we gotta keep Nissa alive. I think I'm just trading with the branch walker. We want to take permanents off the board so that we can like have more of what's left. So how much mana are we gonna have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we get to steal 2 things. We're gonna steal Teferi and Wild Growth Walker, which is fine. Okay. We got to untap some land, so if they have like a Miser's Dovin's Veto or something, we're going to be really sad, but let's just get back the board for a hot second here. Ooh, what if they had Assassin's Trophy for my land in response to me untapping it? That would be horrible. I sure hope that doesn't happen. Okay, untap, Dreadhorde Fortress. Cast Mass Manipulation, X equals 2. So a real question about whether we take both creatures or a creature and a walker. I think... So Teferi could minus. I don't necessarily care about Teferi minusing that much. No, I think I want to hit land drops mostly. I'm just really interested in land drops, and then we also get to untap the land that is a creature. So let's steal these two. Value manipulation. We're going to draw with Tef. Hitting a land feels amazing there. We can't play it, but at least we have it around for next turn. Now we're going to go untap you. Oh, can we hold up Frilled Mystic? Ah, no, we would need 2 breeding pools to be able to hold up Frilled Mystic from this position, so we can't quite do that. I'm going to go you. And I wouldn't say we're ahead. Their hand has a lot of cards in it, and I don't like that. But I don't think Command the Dreadhorde is that scary still. Mass manipulation plus Teferi should keep Command the Dreadhorde in check. Most of the spells they play that aren't Command the Dreadhorde are a lot worse than Command the Dreadhorde. And our hand is just stacked to perfection. Okay, so they get to kill Nissa. They lose their own Teferi as a result, which is cool. Then we get to kill the other Teferi. Teferi. I keep doing it. I keep doing it. All right. So yeah, this is one thing about Nissa that makes me like, she's an incredible card. I like her a lot, but you know, there are some flaws with her. One flaw is that she sort of doesn't just make creatures, she makes lands into creatures, which means that you sort of end up behind on mana sometimes in scenarios like this. Okay, goodbye Nissa. And what's the pressure? Oh, Bond of Flourishing. Okay, so this is the version playing Bond of Flourishing instead of Paradise Druid. I like that a lot. That does not bother me. As long as they're not adding to the board, I'm super happy. Okay, yeah. So now I'm feeling fantastic. We're going to replay the Glacial Fortress. We have 5 mana. And I'm just going to keep plussing this Teferi. So we can actually, because we have Teferi, we get to do things like play Paradise Druid. So still not used to having Teferis in play, despite the fact that I steal them all the time with the deck, so forgive me for that. Just going to slam this down. We have the biggest creature on the board. We have 2 counters in hand, which is great. We have a bunch of steely spells. We're drawing 2 cards a turn. This is like, you know, not a game that's over by any means. It still seems pretty even to me, but I do like where we're at. Also, note how good these Field Mystics are here. This Field Mystic is going to counter a spell for sure. It's going to trade with a Jade Light Ranger. These Field Mystics would, even though we didn't get to cast them early. Oh no, there's a Teferi in play. I'm a huge idiot. Never mind. Never mind. I should have played differently there. Oh lord, sorry about that. I am very sorry. Now we might be in trouble. Talking all the time definitely puts me not in the best state of mind for this. Yeah, I would have played Biogenic Ooze that turn if it weren't for me thinking that we could do this. We can't. Let's see how hard we get punished. So now they can resolve Command the Dreadhorde. I should have attacked the Teferi and seen what they did and then made decisions based on that. If they cast Command the Dreadhorde, they get back a lot of stuff. And we are probably going to lose because they have 20 life. And because they're rank 17, I'm going to assume they realize that they have a Teferi in play and that we just screwed up. And I'm going to give them a big old oops of satisfaction if they Command the Dreadhorde us now. Feels like a command to me. How bad is this going to be? Yeah, they're looking at my graveyard. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Alright, they go to 8. They get a bunch of Planeswalkers. Alright, are we dead or not? That's an Assassin's Trophy, which they keep, of course. Probably correct. They're going to bounce their own Wild Growth Walker. They're going to kill the Teferi unless I save it. They get to plus Nissa. Oh, they get to play Assassin's Trophy too? Alright, that'll do it. I think we're dead. Alright, so if we'd played a Biogenic Ooze that turn, obviously we were in much better shape. I don't know if we were winning from there, but we would have been in much better shape. Okay, yeah, that's frustrating. So, Command the Dreadhorde stuff. What are we doing against this? So this is like Planeswalkery mid-range stuff, except for with the bonus that they have a big card we want to counter. So the big emphasis here is keeping the Teferis off the table so that we can interact with the Dreadhorde stuff. Deputy Detention doesn't seem great. It dies to their removal, gets bounced, and only really grabs Explorer creatures. Night of Autumn doesn't really do anything. Tolsimir seems okay. It can kill small creatures, make bodies to attack Planeswalkers. I like Entrancing Melody a lot. I don't want to be killing their creatures as much as I just want to be stealing them and forcing them. As long as we're killing the Planeswalkers with the creatures and keeping it life total log, we're in good shape. I definitely want the 4th Melody. Teferi. Hopefully on the play, Teferi is not really going to go to their graveyard easily. It's a bit of a liability if they can just reanimate it, but... Frilled Mystic is really, really, really good against this deck on the play, because as long as they don't have a Teferi in play, their whole deck is sorcery speed, pretty much. Could cut this. I'm just going to cut one of the Teferis, and I think I'm otherwise going to... Do I keep it the same? Could do a couple of vetoes. Are they going to have counters? I don't know. Their deck actually runs counters. Alright, so let's make sure we don't run out of time. Alright, so I'm going to go 2 negates. I'm going to go 2 negates in for 1 Frilled Mystic, and 1 probably just... Biogenic Ooze? Biogenic Ooze against Massacre Girl is not a fun time. I don't know. It's possible Biogenic Ooze is just fine there, but still new to playing against this deck. Blah! That was ugly. Yeah. Well, this is good. This is how we shake off the rust before actual tournaments come up. Hopefully I'll be paying a little more attention during actual tournaments. So about the matchup against this Command the Dreadhorde deck, I've run into like 1 or 2 of them before they're really popular. I think it's pretty good for us generally. Partly because Mass Manipulation is a great counter to Command the Dreadhorde. Partly because we have a decent number of counters. Partly because like they're just, unless they have like a lot of Command the Dreadhorde stuff going on, they are just kind of a mid-range deck. And mid-range decks are our best matchups generally. So yeah, this is going to be Paradise Druid into Melody, their 2-drop into Nissa, which is a really, really good start. And at this point, unless I draw something unusual, I'm pretty open to just melodying anything. So I want this Nissa to be extra safe. Oh, another melody. That makes things even easier. And And then, like, worst case scenario, they want, like, play a Teferi, get their Wildgrowth Walker back, and then we just kill the Teferi with Nissa. Because Nissa's lands having haste is just incredible. Yeah, having the Wildgrowth Walker off their side of the table is also really nice, because, like, Wildgrowth Walker is sort of the key card that makes the Command the Dreadhorde engine, like, work and be safe and stuff. Trying to think if they play a J-Light Ranger, is there any chance we would just steal that instead of playing Nissa right away? I don't think so. Nissa is just really strong. Card I want to be on the lookout for is Massacre Girl. We do have this Paradise Druid in play, which means that they can get a chain started. But they will need a 1 toughness creature and a 2 toughness creature. And given that with Nissa will have plenty of mana, there might be reasons for trying to trade off Paradise Druid semi-aggressively. Okay, so Teferi, and my guess is that they're going to feel real slick, getting this Walker back into their hand and drawing a card, but realistically what this means is that we just now get to kill Teferi for free, and the board is nice and clear. So plus on the forest here. So I want to keep my blue sources a little safer because could draw Mass Manipulation, and I don't have 4 blue lands for that yet. So I just want to keep safe the ones that I have. Let's see how they respond to this. They could Trophy. Trophy would be pretty strong. That would leave me without a lot going on in my hand, although I do have plenty of card draw in the deck. Okay, looks like maybe just Wildgrowth Walker into Branch Walker. Cool, sure. Oh, Elder Spell, right. That's a card they play too. Okay, that was pretty solid. Oh, Hydro Crisis is fantastic. Alright, that makes the play really easy. I'm definitely just going to steal this Wildgrowth Walker again and then prepare to play a big Hydro Crisis next turn. So just put pressure on their life total. Make sure that, like, all they play are dinky little creatures and Planeswalkers. Well, let me make sure that this interface does like to tap Paradise Druid at weird times, which is not my favorite thing, so let's just make sure they get hit for damage and don't gain any life ever. So now they can't play their own Teferi very safely. Massacre Girl can kill one thing, but is not the end of the world. And hopefully this Crisis is going to reload us into some more good stuff. Having seen how this game played out, I actually might want Tolsinger for game 3. Just killing, like, the fact that we have Teferis and Melodies and stuff, and these walkers are going to often be, like, getting bounced back to the opponent's hand and becoming, like, small creatures again. Wow, Duress. And they kept it on top. That's amazing. Okay. So they're playing a bunch of little creatures. I guess one awkward thing is if we play Graces, their Duress is probably going to have a target afterwards. So maybe, you know, we're just totally fine on this board. Like, we're, all we're doing is playing land drops and, like, waiting for this Crisis to be big. So now I get to wait, have a Frilled Mystic up. Frilled Mystic does turn on Massacre Girl, worth noting. Let's see if they cast this Duress. They should rightfully be pretty suspicious that we didn't, like, cast a Mass Manipulation or something. That's a Branch Walker. Do I Mystic that? Branch Walker is... So now they know we have a Frilled Mystic or another counter. Probably a Frilled Mystic. I think Branch Walker is fine. Like, I don't really... It doesn't really make... They're not ahead on board here. They get a non-land on top. Okay, so Elder Spell and the Dreadhorde's a really good one to know about. I'm extra disinclined to have Frilled Mystic to that Branch Walker. They're not under quite enough pressure that we can just afford to ignore Command the Dreadhorde. We do have to respect that card. Which can at this point get back Nissa and a small Teferi. Oh, they put it in the graveyard. Never mind. Okay. Alright, this one we're going to counter for sure, just because that puts them ahead on board suddenly. And now we're vulnerable to Massacre Girl, but all Massacre Girl does is clear the board and give them a 4/4. And hopefully we're going to do next turn is draw land, or a Frilled Mystic, and a Frilled Mystic will be fine, and then dump a Crisis on their head. Yes, this Duress is really awkward for them. Yep. Nope. I don't know if you should bring this card in against us. Like, it's great when it's good, but darn our non-creature spell count is just kind of low. The tougher version actually has I guess the same number. Okay, so now they're trying to decide whether like attack aggressively. The thing is, if they attack, I don't think I block. Like, do I block? Or do I just hit them back and try to drive their life total really low? Huh. I think with a giant crisis, let's see, Alex. So Command the Dreadhorde still just gets them back. Branch Walker, Time Raveler. I'm just going to take this hit. My life total is not in danger. I don't really want to put more value into their graveyard. They have a land. Alright, so there's one card left in their hand. We get to cast this Crisis for extra now. That's really good. This Crisis is going to put enormous pressure on their life total, making it really hard for them to cast Command the Dreadhorde. And, again, worst case scenario, they could have, like, Master Earl now, which is not so bad. Let's see what it is. Worst case scenario, the Master Earl again, and then Command the Dreadhorde, in which case we're going to need to top deck a counterspell real quick, but feels like we're ahead. They need to deal with this crisis. Of course, we've now reached the point of the game where if we draw Mass Manipulation, we just get them. Okay, here they go. They're going to try. They drop to 5 life. That's the second Command the Dreadhorde we've seen from them. Keeping that Teferi on top. So now their main challenge is not dying to Hydroid Crisis, which is quite a challenge. Like, they get to keep bouncing it, but I'm going to get to keep casting it and drawing cards and gaining life. And that means that mass manipulations are just becoming more and more likely to show up in my hand. And they're a really dangerous life total. Yeah, so if we draw a mass manipulation at any point, we're just going to kill them with damage, pretty much. We do have a lot of stuff. Alright, well if this is happening, I think I'm going to block the land. Yeah, I have to be slightly careful with our life total. Okay, block the land. Let's not put any value stuff in their graveyard. Reduce the amount of mana they have in future turns. They have another land, okay. Oh, Nissa. Oh, Nissa's really good, right? Nissa seems really good, yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to use Nissa to leverage into a much bigger crisis. That seems like a good plan to me. Let's go land. We can go cast Nissa. I think it's just Nissa Druid Elves, so I want to make sure that I'm tapping the right lands, so that Nissa, I think we'll be able to adapt the Druid. Well, the Druid could get bounced if we adapt it. Let's see. Green. Green. Actually, let's just use lands for this play. I want to use lands for this. Make sure that Nissa lives through the fact that we're going to have 5 attackers and a bounce spell. Cast Druid. Cast Land Elves. And the great thing is here, we're still threatening to adapt the Druid. So I tap the Garden. Yeah, so if I tap Garden, play Land Elves, untap a Forest with Nissa, that means I can adapt the Druid in response to stuff. Like if they bounce a land, I can adapt the Druid in response. Okay, so if they don't draw, I don't even know what it is at this point. If they can't kill Nissa, this Hydroid Crisis is just going to get them. So I think we're probably in the clear, but who knows? I guess Elder Spell into Ultimate Nissa isn't even that good because they don't have any lands at the moment that are creatures. What's the plan? They're also just going to be dead to Crisis the turn after we cast it, unless they find removal for it. Yeah, I'd like to take, as they're thinking, I want to talk for a bit about, like, how even though Intrinsic Melody led to, like, Teferi bouncing stuff, just, like, notice how exceedingly crucial it was that they never had a Wild Growth Walker on the battlefield when all this stuff was going on. Just never. Like, that's really important, that was not what was happening. Because otherwise they'd be at a much, much higher life total, and we wouldn't have the Crisis threat, which is pretty key, just to, like, ending this game. I say key, I mean, if you draw Mass Manipulation, of course things are going to go our way, but it's still nice to have that extra measure of pressure that you can bring. They're still in a position where they can't attack with very many creatures because we're still threatening to use to crack them back for lethal damage. So they're doing a lot of fancy combat math. I certainly don't blame them for kind of sitting there and thinking. Incubation Druid gets bounced. That's a smart play. That was going to make a lot of mana next turn. They know I have a Crisis. They do have a bunch of mana with Nissa, so many things are possible. Okay, they have a spell. What is it going to be? If they can cast a big Teferi and get rid of Nissa, I'm going to be sad. That'd be some pretty good draws for them. Tameo. Okay, what's Tameo going to do? Getting back Command the Dreadhorde, not really very good at this point. Because they're at 5 and they don't have a Wild Growth Walker. They got back, okay, the Elder Spell, which they can't cast. The Elder Spell is going to let them put counters on Teferi, which is good, I guess. Certainly an interesting board state. This, you cannot fault this format for not delivering interesting board states. Wait, what? Okay, so they're realizing that they can't get whatever color they want off of Nissa, so they can't cast Elder Spell. That seems good. I'm glad that that happened. Okay. Alright, so do I do a bunch of attacks here? I don't really think so. They get to either ultimate the Nissa, which doesn't matter. They're going to have to... Yeah, they're just going to have to sink like into Teferi to not die with the Elder Spell. And that means I can just kind of go hog wild with this Crisis. So we're going to do... So there is a Teferi on the battlefield, so we don't need to worry about really holding up counter mana or anything like that. I'm just going to play a giant Crisis, and I'm trying to think if there's anything that would be really interesting to draw here. Nothing especially comes to mind. So let's just go in for, I think we're just going to go completely crazy. And just say, let's do Crisis for, sure, 12. Okay. Actually, that wasn't good. I shouldn't have tapped down both those creature lands. Whatever. I'm just trying to erase before we run out of timeouts here. Not that we are going to do that, but this was 10. So that draws. Wow, still 0 copies of Mass Manipulation for us, which is a little awkward. I'm going to cast this Incubation Druid. And then I guess I'm going to go plus untap Breeding Pool. I want to use this Teferi to draw a card here and also turn off their land creature. Make it a little tougher for them to live through next turn. We're going to play Manor Elves and then play Teferi. Just make lots of threatening things happen here. Minus Teferi on the Overgrown Tomb, which is going to permanently turn it off, which is cool. Draw. Okay, so that's 24 cards deep and no copies of Mass Manipulation yet. But still like this position a lot. So I guess... Oh, it actually is the case that they can now Elder Spell... Ah, man, I probably shouldn't play that Teferi, huh? Because now I can Elder Spell both of these, put the counters on Tameo, return a Teferi with the Tameo, and then bounce the Crisis again? Which is, like, super annoying. Darn, it's still the case that whenever we draw Mass Manipulation, we win the game immediately. That's still very true. Unless they draw Massacre Girl first, in which case, God only knows what happens. Yeah. I wonder if there's a strategy where we bring out all of our Planeswalkers and just turn off the Elder Spell completely. That could be really funny. Oh, okay, so they're... Whoa, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I guess maybe they didn't see the play. Maybe they didn't see the play, or maybe they drew something else. If this is like Vraska, I'm going to be so mad. Okay, it's not Vraska. I shouldn't have put that Teferi. That was silly of me. But we still have how many creatures now? A lot? Okay, so that's J Light Ranger. They get to use Nissa to make another creature here. So I don't know that they're dead to damage. I don't think they're dead to damage. We have 8 creatures, and the smallest ones are 1 power, so they're not dead to damage. And we definitely don't want to go on an all-out attack yet, because Tamio can get back Command. Actually, Command the Dreadhorde kills them from any life total because they would need Wild Growth Walker on the battlefield first. So let's make sure they don't play a Wild Growth Walker, and then we'll see what happens. Oh, they're also under huge time pressure now because they have no timeouts. Yeah, if I hadn't played that Teferi, they would not have a Teferi right now, and that would be a great, great, great state of affairs. Right, what's their yard that Tamio can get back? Big Teferi, small Teferi, Command the Dreadhorde, Duress. That's about it. No, what's poppin'? What'd you draw? What'd you draw there? Okay. Another nonsense card. Alright, so I think this is Giant Grace again. I just want a friggin' Mass Manipulation, man. Give me a Mass Manipulation, please. Ideally some counters to back it up. So this Graces can be 1, 2, 3... Well, let's see. What if we didn't use the lands here? We're at 14. We want to be a little careful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, I'll go Graces X... I'm going to have to make sure we tap correctly for this. Tap. Tap. I probably don't need to tap the lands first. I'll probably tap the lands automatically. We have the timeout to spare, so let's just use that. Tap for green. Arena starts to slow down a lot, so I actually can't afford to sit here doing this. We'll go Llanowar Elves. Llanowar Elves. Erase Druid. Cast Grace 6/8. So, of course, if we had Mass Manipulation that turn, we would have won the game. That's 9. No, okay. Whoops, so I tapped a little bit extra there. That was silly. Oh, well, having Negate would feel fantastic if they didn't have Teferi, so instead we're just going to sit here and see what they do with this turn. Discard, Drew another Krasis, so we could play 2 lethal Krasis next turn. That might work. So they can ultimate Nissa, not a big threat. Okay. Alright, Ixalan's binding on Hydroid Krasis is sort of annoying. They found one. But still pretty comfortable with the board position. And I might not be that comfortable with the board position. What did they get back? Is it going to show you what they got back? Oh, they're going to duress me. Oh, they think I drew Mass Manipulation. Joke's on you, opponent. Joke's on you. Never drew a Mass Manipulation in my entire life. Ixalan's Binding is a good one to know about. That's a good reason to maybe bring in some Might of Autumns. Not that it gets back Hydroid Krasis in a meaningful way, but it lets me cast other ones, which is cool. So what do I want to draw? Another Nissa would be nice. Wouldn't mind another Nissa. Mass Manipulation. Pretty good. Pretty good. Right there. I think we're going to be okay on this board. They have a lot of attackers. They still can't afford to tap that much. And I have 2 3/5s next turn with the Incubation Druids. Teferi being on 3 is annoying. Man, this matchup is really about who draws more copies of the key card. And it's like they have Explore Creatures as a weapon to do that, and Teferis. I have Teferis and Hydroid Krasis as a weapon to do that. Definitely love a Tamio at this point. Alright, so I'm going to start blocking with these lands. I just want to make sure that if they do ultimate Nissa, they're not going to have a bunch of indestructible guys. And also constricting their mana seems kind of nice. Oh no! Okay, Wild Growth Walker is really ugly. That means that if they ever draw Command the Dreadhorde, it makes it much less safe to block their creatures. So we continue never to have drawn a Mass Manipulation in our life. We're just going to keep playing Incubation Druids. La-di-da, so they don't really have safe attacks. Ultimating Nissa is still not attractive because they don't have any land creatures. So now it's just a race to see who draws their thing first, I guess. I guess I still can't afford to Command the Dreadhorde, really, because they would just die. So without Command the Dreadhorde, how do they actually break through here? Like, making 3/3s every turn. Wow, okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Nissa is very safe, so they don't really need to worry about protecting her too much. And now they get to make an instructive 3/3 every turn, so that'll be overwhelming pretty quickly. So it's really just about needing to draw Mass Manipulation. They can't turn it off, they can't get it over deck. I highly suspect they can't counter it. Oh, okay, so now they start gaining life and try and draw cards. That makes sense, that makes sense. They put themselves in a safe position, make it so they can actually do a value Command the Dreadhorde at some point. That makes sense. A lot of Flourishing, can't hit Command the Dreadhorde, but could hit, like, a Vraska would be pretty solid here. Lots of things would be pretty solid. Fairy is not bad. Can we cast that this turn? No, they do have mana for that. Are they going to do it? Oh, man. Alright. It's looking kind of dire. We really need a Mass Manipulation. And stat. And they still have to think pretty hard about not dying, especially since I could draw a Nissa and add a creature to the board, or I could draw a Teferi and take a creature away from the board. I'm starting to think Negate doesn't make any sense in this matchup. Like, oh man, having an actual pressure applying spell, like a Tolsimir, even a Knight of Autumn to kill this binding would have been so much better. Or, oh my goodness, a Deputy of Detention just to get rid of 3 Branchwalkers? I think Deputy of Detention actually is fine in this matchup that is like super defined by board stalls, and also them stealing my Planeswalkers sometimes. Yeah. Alright, so I sideboarded wrong for sure. Here comes Teferi. Yep, okay. Resolves. I'm going to start looking for more Command the Dreadhordes. I'm going to flute both of these druids. Oh wow, I actually get to cast Jailer Ranger too, and this is a good card. I gotta tell you, this is a good card. The nice thing is they don't have a little tough anymore, so my Frilled Misters are actually pretty live draws as well. They keep Mana Flourishing, sure. Okay. Alright, so just to make sure we have enough mana to do all these things, we're now going to... Oh, wait. They haven't attacked yet. Hold on. I'm going to heavily assume they don't want to attack here. Didn't think so. Okay, I'm going to go Elf. Yes. Elf. Yes. Attack the Druid. Yep. That's right, lands and stuff. Good. Tap the Druid. I guess we didn't need to do all that tapping, but whatever. So, billion mana, Mass Manipulation on deck. Let's just find this card. Get it over with. Nope. Okay. Well, that's not good. It's not great. There's 29 cards left. Hit so far, what, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15 lands? So not super flooded exactly. It's just a Mass Manipulation screwed would be the word for it. Still not in danger of dying to damage in the next turn, but probably 2 turns with Fairy and Nissa on the battlefield and a Nissa emblem out. is going to kill us. So I think we got the next turn to draw it, and if I don't find it, I'll scoop. Okay. All right, they're going to want that one, so that certainly puts a pin in how much we're going to need this mass manipulation to come off the top next turn. Yeah, I think casting that Teferi, casting that Hydroid Crisis was that Teferi that turn was a really big mistake, letting them Elder Spell 2 creatures. It also meant that their Teferi would have had to minus anyway, I'm pretty sure. Their Teferi minusing anyway would have meant that they would have had a dead Teferi, which means we would have been able to negate the Ixalan's Binding, I think, or like negate some other important non-creature spell, which would have been really excellent. Or are they going to get to command the Dreadhorde this turn? I might get to command the Dreadhorde this turn. With Tamio. And this, that wouldn't kill us, though. It's still just about whether we draw mass manipulation or not. Wait, they took the Elder Spell? I think that was a mistake. Are they trying to ultimate? Oh, they're trying to ultimate Teferi, maybe? They could be trying to ultimate Teferi, but I think they've used it this turn, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, they're doing like a cool combo play where they get to... Okay, so Teferi's at 9. Oh, Teferi had not ultimated yet. Okay. I mean, that's cool. You have a Teferi ultimate. That doesn't matter. Because we still win if we draw mass manipulation. It's another land. All right, you got us. You got us, opponent. That was rough. That was really rough. Okay, well, this is a long video already, so I think I'm going to wind up the recording session there. Still number 1. Still pretty comfortably at the top of the pile, but that is how you lose. Not drawing a mass manipulation in the top half of your deck. Definitely how you lose to those Planeswalker mid-range things. Also making a bunch of play mistakes that make it so you can't play Hydroid Crisis anymore. I think that game would have been winnable if I had not screwed up and played the Teferi. The Arena timer system is definitely a little rough for making decisions like that. I'll be... I guess the chess box system won't change it up because we'll sell Arena timers during the online tournament, but it's good to get practice in like thinking like that. Like thinking... Does your Teferi actually matter? Does cycling for a card really matter as much as giving an extra Elder Spell target, which in that case it did not. But hopefully you got a feel for the deck. It's still really good. You should still try playing it. Let me know if you find a build that seems more busted than whatever I'm doing, because I'm interested in improving the deck. And thanks for watching.